To me, very interesting that we need to be paying attention to right now is that when we got those two platforms kind of late from the liberals and the conservatives, we didn't from the liberals and the conservatives, we didn't really get a full federal platform from the Bloc Québécois because they don't need to. We don't need to know what they think about these things. And suddenly, it might matter a great deal what the Bloc Québécois thinks because it may hold the balance of power. So when we think about
So is Shane Fraser the like one for like the Senate seat?
In the first fiscal year.
Isn't it funny that in the United States, when is conservative, and in Canada, when is liberal?
Let's remember. So
Yeah.
Okay, to explain it, okay, that we actually have 6 ways of voting. Okay, we have 6 ways of voting. It's called smart voting, and the smart voting is there's 3 different. Liberal is red, conservative is blue, NDP is orange, the Quebecs are light blue. There's the Green Party, and then there's the PP Conservatives, which is like me and you running.
Everybody was like, well, I'm not going to make a video with you. Why would they do that?
I was going to say that the better was happening
at the current moment.
You know, you were talking a little bit about what Mark Carney has to do now. In my own situation, you haven't got the time,
yes.
right?
Oh, wow.
Our conservative is red. That is because we're
instantly.
they're the ones in the House, so they get to use the Canadian color red.
What's the most important?
It's always been red.
They're blue.
Also take time to take.
Yeah, conservatives are always blue. Liberals are always red. It's always been like that. Light blue is Quebec, which is the French. And NVP is kind of like your down-to-earth Green Party, kind of hippie kind of people. And the Green Party is kind of more like, let's do, like, their biggest slogan was, we will fight for legaling marijuana. Now that that's legal, there's nothing that they have anything to stand on. You know what I mean? That was their slogan, the Green Party. More of a conservative naturalist, which is what I usually vote. Is NVP or Green, but because of the situation and what was said today, I am really hoping Reds will win, which means Mark Carney will be our president, prime minister.
And we'll have more trade between the provinces, but the race is
because unfortunately, your president tweeted today that he's hoping that conservatives, which is the dark blue, will win because he wants to make it 51st state. He wants Carney to win. He wants PP to win, which we don't want.
What is it about Boulerice that makes him
He's a very nice person.
I'm so stressed right now.
Jagmeet Singh has said he'd be
He's
okay
like,
at this
I
point.
I'm not even doing my diamond art.
Stand in the way
It's
of
one
others.
seat away right now from the balance of power being held by the
It's very problematic for any government, in
They're
particular this
within
one.
one seat
It
right
very
now.
much changes
Once
the
this
stakes.
is over with, I don't have to worry too much.
It's
I don't
looking more
have
and
to
more
worry
like
following my politics
It
or
really
anything
be a
like that.
minority where
major
the real
Remember, we
West
are
market
still
is.
fighting a trade war,
How
and
is
we're
it
still
going?
fighting, of course,
It's like
president that's still talking
Like today, the guy that I voted for, instead of still going around like, unfortunately, here Poilievre's the conservatives, which is blue.
Liberals aren't going to want to do
When
it.
we lost our people in Vancouver, he didn't even show up, the blue guy. He kept going and campaigning. Mark stopped his campaign, which is very critical. Today is the last day. He stopped his campaign and sat there and did the whole ceremony. Ben showed up, gave him roses for 4.5 hours, and then went and voted, and then started back on his political campaign. Now that's a leader. You know what I mean? That even though it could hurt him, he still mourns with like the rest of us.
The Liberals in government, but we'll take a look at our House projections, and this is again how we are
How much will be
in the
infighting,
evening.
and how much is just going to be
Decision
highly
Day
produced
projecting that the
videos?
Liberals could see a range
Well,
of
they also
150 to 170
Oh, wow.
So not reaching that magic
after
marker
an
of
election,
172.
so
The Conservatives could get anywhere from 138 to 152. But Nick, we're really looking at the Bloc and the NDP. The NDP only getting anywhere from 9 to 15. This could really play as interesting tonight.
Yes, a significant setback for the NDP. And the big question is, will the Bloc hold the balance?
Come on, let's go. Shut up. Just tell me who wins, please. That would be awesome. We're dragging this on now. It's been 4 hours since the voting has stopped, so you should have all the tallies in now.
The 905 area. For those
This is the only time I'm worried about a fucking election. I usually don't give a damn.
Tight ridings here. First, taking a look at Brampton to Kesey Park.
Yeah, this is all going to come down to organization. It's
So,
basically
Team Red, let's go Red.
The Conservatives can take over.
You might wind up with the Liberal
Just
and
an
NDP
81 vote difference there.
God damn it!
Riding.
I'm gonna end up with a Liberal and a Conservative party in my hometown though, because Doug Ford is obviously
Okay, and
I'll have a Liberal government too. Oh, that's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be 50-50 across the board, exactly natural the way it is.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move over to
I like that.
of Toronto, and the Conservatives in the lead by
Michelle Herrera is still behind the Peterborough.
If we get 156 points,
She's like one of the more
its majority is at 172. If we hit 172 of the red, it's majority.
We'll see what it's looking like.
If you're wondering.
The Conservatives in the lead by 5.
So once we hit 172, that's majority of Canada.
So this is good news for Poilievre on this front. But, you know, all of these races are fragile.
Yay! Big Party got 2 points! Yay!
Still in that Toronto area.
That means 2 people in chair! Yay!
In the lead right now.
Even
another Liberal incumbent trailing Nick.
Yeah, you know, a bit of a comfy lead for Ho on this front, even with 115 polls reporting. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, with the advanced
Congratulations,
polls.
Claire. I know you're really ready for her.
Okay, a couple
Jonathan.
of close races in the 905. That is around the greater.
Oh, the Green has 2 seats now.
That's right. That's why I said yay, Mosh.
25 out of 134 polls.
That's one extra seat the blue team can't get. You know what I mean? One extra seat the blue can't get. Oh, we dropped a number because of Quebec.
Yeah,
and
that helps settle down the Western separatism nonsense.
And the degree to which I think people in and around suburbs.
Yeah.
That means this election is going to drag a little longer.
Over the last 10 years and making their voice heard. I think I saw at one point Francesca Sobera, who has been around for a while as a Liberal, again in the GTA
Nothing,
area.
Mosh.
It could have costed the seat. We'll
What's up, Tony?
If there are final.
Welcome to Canadian politics, where Bunny is on edge.
To watch is, assuming the Liberals can find a dance partner.
Well, you never know what Bunny's going to do.
Inclusive early look at them would leave you with the impression.
Mind you, I can't wait to hear wonderful Foxy's political, because if she doesn't vote, she has to pay $75.
And one of the early ratings that we're watching through the night is Central Nova, and it looks like the Second News Decision Desk is projecting that Sean Fraser, the cabinet minister, will be retaining his seat despite the fact that he looked to the contrary earlier on.
All right, so the Libs are the Republicans, right, for you?
Get to CTV's
Matthew
Todd
Green,
Dallas in
only
Halifax,
18
who has been
points
watching
of
this,
vote,
and this has been quite a back and
Well,
forth for the past few hours, and we are able to make that declaration now.
It's a toss-up 3 ways, though.
Yeah, and Omar, as you can imagine, it was a real...
Why am I watching a commercial on erectile dysfunction?
So there's some distance now between when the polls
That was
close.
me, but I do have it on YouTube as well too, Mosh. So if you wanted to watch it on
Bryson
YouTube,
Jenkins had
Oh, without the commercials, right?
Without the commercials, yeah, on YouTube.
To the point where
They didn't even have a freaking
Sean
PDF of
Fraser,
it. Like,
as
I'm not
Yeah,
using YouTube, I'm using Twitch.
Well, yeah. No, I'm saying for Mosh to watch it.
The only reason why I'm using it on Twitch is so that Mosh could follow it better. You know what I mean? So he was watching it with me. You know what I mean? And I asked him to be on my team, red team.
Yeah.
We're voting. We're hoping red team wins. Okay.
We had a fairly lengthy
So,
over Anthony Germain.
36, sorry,
and
36.
That is down now.
Wow, it's really close now. 156 and 147.
Like I said, it is.
Camera in your pocket.
He's so close.
That is extremely close. That lead had certainly narrowed over the last hour
Wow.
or so.
It's like a nail bite, right? Nail biter.
Yeah,
MP conservative.
because then I have it on Twitch as well
If
too.
not, I don't know what I'm gonna do with blue because I
Or on
cannot
YouTube
live
as well too.
So again,
Blue
you
City.
wonder if those
No.
advanced poll
No.
votes have been
Not with the fact that
Oh damn!
surge for the
Trump
Liberals
wants
and a couple
Carney
It's down by
wants,
8.
anyway.
keep he in so he can take over us.
But
That's what he wants. He's endorsing the blue team. And if he gets in,
And the Queen lost a seat.
I just might as well give up and say I'm 51st state.
Hold on, because there's still some more polls that they still haven't counted yet, Anna.
I know, but if it goes blue, I might as well say I'm your 51st state because that's exactly what Trump wants.
Over time,
Well, we will see because it's still early apparently.
That's what I'm worried about. That's why we want red. That's why we want red.
I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry until like
He pulled it out there. That's why we're so on edge right now.
And under these circumstances, they say sovereignty.
Because he did it when Mark Carney was at a funeral, at the Victoria funeral for those minority, which we lost 11 people, which 9 of them were females. 2 of them were males. 5 of them and 3 of them in critical condition. 25 of them at semi condition, and then probably don't know how many more that was just hurt. You know what I mean? There could be thousands. And if you are hurt, you went into the hospital by yourself. Call in, you know what I mean?
A liberal.
But, yeah, he ended up stopping his campaign and going and giving him his condolences not once, but twice. And stopped his campaign just to do that for 4.5 hours. He could have been campaigning that whole time, you know what I mean? But instead, he went there. What did the blue team do? Kept campaigning. Didn't even say sorry to the world, to the families that lost.
As results have just started to trickle in, and
fucking
the early
evil
ones
Adele
were
leading the
5
charge. Guys, my ever have you sharing
It's 43.4% to 4.1%. 1%. Oh my God, it's only 2.5% difference.
But the Queen goes lost the seat, Bunny.
If we lose this.
Oh boy, it's not. It's by 4. It's by 4, Anna.
Bunny saw the Queen lost the seat.
And so did the NDP.
Now elected tonight, his 3rd term there, and another rural riding with historically strong support for the Conservatives leads Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lake.
Hello, welcome
Ran
in.
away with a win in 2021. That was his 2nd straight. Now make it 3 in a row. This is a riding that had flipped from Liberal support in 2004. Has not looked back.
The great replacement.
Multi-level
strategy.
Oh,
the long
riding in Carleton.
Oh my God.
Tonight. For now, we want to go back though to Toronto.
Guys, I forgot.
With how things are progressing there, Michelle. Yes, Patricia. Well, as a
Oh, there you go.
Rich,
I'll be right back.
Toronto area, we've really got our eye on
If you want to travel to Montreal, you be my guest.
Because this, as far as we're concerned, is telling the story of why Mark Carney is not the majority. Conservatives are faring well. We've got our eye on York Centre, which is a potential pickup for the Conservatives.
Please do. I would love to have
literally caused me to have that moment of like,
potentially
you caused me to have the moment of like, I
the incumbent
moved to
there,
live.
Minister of Mental Health, was elected in 2020. The results are still coming in,
Oh,
but that is a potential pickup
my
for the
wife
Conservatives.
literally has to like
Also,
stop
if
me
we
and
go
be like,
to
Steve, have you eaten
Durham,
food and drank
this
water
is a
today? I'm
new
like, I have
riding,
forgotten to do
and
that entirely.
We have determined here at CTV
As
that
you
the
can tell by my
Conservative
mustache
candidate
throughout
here,
this
Jacob
stream,
Mantle,
I
a
do not
lawyer,
miss
a
many
ward councillor,
I'm a
he is
big
taking
fan
this
of eating.
riding. So it
Big
does
fan.
signal that people in this part of the country are hungry
I'm about to have my
I would say 12
Mosh, thank you for the no more ads.
At this stage, it really does tell the story of keeping the Liberals' power in check in this election. Let's go over to Calgary.
Oh no.
That's funny.
Well, it's a piece off for me because I use Prime.
Yeah, hell yeah. But that also helps me out too.
37 ridings right now. Conservatives are leading or elected, and we want to zoom in a little bit closer and see what's happening in Edmonton this hour.
Every day.
Right now,
But
8
Paris and I
of the
recorded
9
our last
Edmonton
campaign pops on
ridings
Saturday, and I
have gone
edited it
conservative,
that
leading or
actually kind
elected
of
in
had
8
Sunday
of the
off.
9 Edmonton
So for the first
ridings.
time
It was a toss-up if I'm going to use my my new one, Philly or Philly.
in Edmonton, that's Edmonton Strathcona.
Give me a
This is
second
not a
here.
surprise. Heather McPherson is a two-time
I don't know, I'm just
NDP
I'm
and
gonna be a
she's
zombie.
very popular.
Okay,
She
so
won a
it's
60% margin
157.
last time. But I want to turn
Easy
your
person
attention to
who's up
Edmonton
at 5
Gateway. This is
a.m.
Tim
every
Huffle's
day.
riding.
Minus.
And
He's
like,
expected to win
he's
here. He's
not
a
by-
long-term MP, but it's
I
the
just
independent.
somewhere
It's a
about
9-game clincher.
That
It's a 9-poll numbered clincher right now, Anna.
Liberals. He's a
So it's
former
hovering
MP
between 6 and
He
9.
resigned to
Before I
run for
went
the
to work.
Liberals. They
And
dumped
now,
him fairly
like,
early on in the
I've
campaign.
got
I'm just letting you know it's hovering anywhere between 6 and 9 points right now.
I know it's literally at 42.3% to a 41.2%. We're at 2% here since I am.
8 points.
Right now we're at 157. That's the red team.
Yeah.
The blue team's at 149, which is the one we don't want. For Quebec, I'm happy with 25 seats. MVP, I'm happy with 10 in the Green Party. I don't care if points go to the light blue, the orange, or the green. As long as it doesn't go to dark blue, I am happy. I am happy with the results.
Oh boy.
As long as the blue does not go any higher.
Full of close races, plenty of
Here we go.
two-way races and three-way races. Because
But Green had 2 points. I only have 1 point.
And Mosh with the prime and going, no more ads. No more.
Like I said, if the Green Party gets another seat, that's one less seat that the blue gets. I'm happy, and we need more because then that's the majority. We get more variety in the House. You know what I mean? More variety in the House than just one-sided.
Over the course of our campaign,
We love about that. Unfortunately, there is no other party this round,
It's been going back and forth,
which is just representatives like you and me running for yourselves.
Could go down right to the wire.
155, yeah.
And I'm seeing if my liberal thing got in, but yeah.
Narrowing
Look at Vancouver
substantially.
Kingsway. Now this is a stronghold for the NDP, one that the NDP
Worth
doesn't
noting,
want to
that's
hang on
just
to if
where
they
they're
want to
showing
maintain their
leads.
official party
Like,
status.
a lot of those
With
leads are
Charles
bouncing
Dietz,
around as early polls are coming in.
Davies, very
I'm
popular,
seeing a lot of people talking about how the map looks
incumbent in
very
that
blue.
riding. He is
That's
leading,
because there are a lot of
not
very
very
empty
much. He
places.
used to-
Yeah,
he
it's like
was
the US.
very
Yeah,
He's won for Vancouver Kingsway, but right now, Amy Gill of the Liberals only 100 votes behind.
We're only 4 points ahead. Oh my God. 2 points ahead, depending.
We're not going to suddenly have a conservative government.
Very involved.
I don't know if it's majority. They're saying liberal government already, but I'm not counting my chickens.
No.
Everybody's
It's still too early in the game to call that.
Oh, we need 1 more point, I think, for majority, I guess, according to CTV. I don't
2
know. Oh my
points.
goodness. Hurry up. We have
voting coalescing on the progressive side. So we're keeping watch on those two very close ridings and several others that are shaping up to be real races.
And
Omar, Bashi?
Mijan, thank you so much.
Oh, I did.
In many
Sorry,
ways,
just
this
me
is
is
pivotal
currently
for the future
third
of the NDP. You
in
see
his
the
riding.
tracker, as Mijan mentioned, 10 seats
Yeah,
being
the third
elected
in
for the
driving.
NDP.
There's only
They need
5
12
200 polls.
for
Oh,
official
okay.
party status. Will they even have that before the night is
Elizabeth May
over?
and
The results in BC, particularly on the island where they have 6
You'll
of the
never
7
be rid of
seats,
her,
or had,
Paris.
I should
The
say,
NDP
at dissolution.
currently-
That
means
is
she's
really
gonna
going to
stay
fill in
on.
the story for the NDP.
She's gonna be
and the
puttering
future of the
around
party, and also the
Pedno.
future of its leader as well.
Yeah, and
Every press conference, the camera pans down from Pedno.
a big part of the
And There's her little head.
Look to get some of the key results in that province that are emblematic of that right now. So we want to head over to the riding of Central Nova, long held by the McKay.
Hey, Tony, I use the hydrate.
For a number of elections by Sean Fraser in a bit of a nail.
I got pop. I'm fine.
Over the last number of hours, Paul Hollingsworth, who is actually over there at
2 points.
headquarters, I believe. Paul, over you.
You're the NDP. You don't have official party status,
if
but
you're looking
you
for a
potentially hold
political
balance
emotional
power.
roller coaster, we found one here in Central Nova. We pulled into town about 9 hours ago,
The Liberals
and there
wouldn't
was
go
a
for
feeling
it.
of buoyancy and optimism from
Why
Sean
would the
Fraser's
Liberals bother?
camp that they were going to win and have
They
this
have to give
result
up a
be
cabinet
the re-election for
Melissa said I'll be right back.
Then when those early polling
Okay.
results came
I never
out
trust
in the
Philly.
early hours of this campaign this evening, when we saw those results,
Like the
fear,
conservatives would go
doubt, and
nuts for
concern
that.
set in. It looked like it could
Especially
be a
like parties more
conservative
center
win,
right.
and
NDP
this
are holding
polling
on
was
right
very
here.
quiet. Feelings of
Not
despair
really,
set
because
in,
they
and
could
people
just
were
form a
clearly
draw.
worried about the outcome. Look, we look at Bryson Jenkins, what he accomplished in this campaign. We are told he's a young, energetic campaigner. He's been knocking
I don't
on
actually
doors
know
for the
how
last
that works
18
a
months.
lot.
Had a very impressive rally about a week ago in Trenton, Nova Scotia.
Were you writing a lot of servos?
Peter McKay was there. His father, Elmer McKay, was there. They came out of that rally feeling that they had momentum and the ability to seal the deal.
Spending too much
But the
time in the
Liberals found a
USA.
way to close this in these final
I really
hours of
hope
this
it's a minority.
when these votes were counted. I spoke to a conservative
literally-
3 points.
via text message about 2 hours
Yeah, 3
ago.
points.
He told me they feel pretty
We're up to
good,
5
but they wanted
points.
to wait for those advanced polling
The
results
House
to come
dropped
in.
down on
Yeah,
my
the
TV with
party
CTV
status.
News.
And
we're still, yep.
Probably made a huge
We're back up to
Yeah.
5-point win. Right now, 6-point win.
In Central Nova, a riding with deep progressive conservative roots.
This is not fun at all. Welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canadian Politician Fought. Welcome to figuring out which seat's which.
Finds a way to win what
So
clearly was
confusing.
a stressful victory, but a key hold for the Liberals as they hang on to Central Nova here in mainland Nova Scotia. Now back to you.
It's going to be very interesting. Like,
let's head over
I
now
think
to
they
Anne-Marie.
do manage
Anne-Marie,
to
I wonder if you
steal
guys are
at
taking a pool
least
to see
the
how soon
Elizabeth
we'll be back
seat.
together again.
Look how close those
What are you
numbers
doing
are,
with
guys,
this?
right now.
Well, yeah,
You're probably going to be
You
alone.
were a Liz May truther before, saying the Greens are going to have like 100 seats, and now you're bailing on your girl.
You guys were just having a
Listen, yeah.
discussion at this end of the table about that.
Elizabeth May's still going to
Right
get
now, it looks
her
like it's
seat.
the
I still
block.
believe
So I go
that.
back
Mike
to my
Morris,
comment
less
earlier
sure. I haven't
about
looked
how
at
does
him.
that make
But
Western
like, what do
Canada
you do
feel?
with one
Because,
seat?
you
Oh,
know,
the Conservative just lost one seat.
MPs stand up in the House of Commons
Not a lot.
and say
Welcome to
really
the
derogatory
Green Party
things
for
about
every
government
election.
and the
And that's
energy
for
sector.
151.49.
So there's that sense right now, is Matt Carney going to
That
owe
was like a
something to the
big
bloc?
deal.
And that is
Oh.
that his
No,
dance
it's just
partner?
been Liz May
Um,
buttering
is
around.
that
I would
the
say-
NDP?
It's gonna be-
Hey, Tony got a raid.
They're at 11
But
seats
they
right now.
found their way to more
Proposed 12
relevance
to get
than they've
official
had.
Catmel with the rate of 3.
just
Thank
in.
you, Catmel.
If they get 11 seats, they're going to have no trouble negotiating official party status anyway.
I mean, 70,000 votes nationally is better than PPC. I think it would work. She didn't even have to go on road.
The NDP and the Green Party have a combined total. I don't think that's going to do that much to crush Western alienation.
No.
After the 10 years we just had.
They have enough for to get the minority
But
government
the NDP
passed.
I mean, the
Yeah,
NDP's
I
not
think
going to
that's
be
like right now the
any, you
magic
know, any
numbers.
better than what we
That's what I
just
mean.
had for the last 10 years.
Like if you get balance of power with the Liberals,
I'm wondering.
The one lady's worried about the tan color for the
on the
NDP.
phone with Polyev right now,
orange?
accepting those calls, wondering if maybe he's going to be
The lady in the tan suit.
They're going to be in a coalition with separatists.
NDP is orange.
Yeah, but the one newscaster, the one inside of the tan one, said something about the NDP is lower compared to what you guys had in the past 10 years.
He'll stay.
I think.
But I mean, I appreciate the discussion that
here's
we're
my
having.
question. I actually don't know
Okay,
how
there's
this works.
certain things that, yes, I can't, like I said, when I was first doing it, this is what's marveling. There's some stuff on the blue side that I didn't like. There's some stuff on the green, the red stuff I like.
I've known
She's turning up the volume.
I don't,
do that's
he's
a
not the
formal,
type of person
I don't
just
think they can get
thinking
party
for the
status
sake
for
of who I work with.
two
This is
separate
about
parties in that
dealing
way.
with the most consequential threat.
But they
And
never
to be honest, I believe
No,
May
that's
would
the thing.
never-
They wouldn't.
So
They wouldn't.
this is about working together.
No,
We have
that's not gonna
premiers
happen.
working
Well,
together,
and
right?
if they
So
lose party
it's incumbent
status,
upon
they
us
lose
as
party
now
status,
as
they're gonna
federally
be in
to be
bad
working
shape
together as
for
well. And I believe that
a
Mark Carney
government
is the
like
right
it's
person to do
happened
that.
before.
Okay, but this,
with,
you know,
like,
I'm
in
good.
Mark Miller's words from earlier
Like the
tonight, somebody
bloc
comes
of
on
the
party,
You
he is our
you
rookie.
should
So
be
when
coming
you're
in
talking about a
to
minority
the
government like this,
BC sometimes too.
This takes politics.
Catmull,
This is not an
because
experience.
we actually miss having you in there.
Come from outside and land in Ottawa,
Regardless, like whether it's in mine or in you, or in
lead in a situation that right now we're around 57-148.
The challenge he also has too is the Liberal Party has always been a coalition. I mean, certainly is now with all these NDP voters.
the Moon Kingdom.
So he's got the challenge of dance party with the bloc on the one hand, and then in a kind of a dance party inside happening down in the basement of the Liberal Party of Canada, where he's got to find his way to reaching his economic goals, which I think he sincerely believes in. When there may be a lot of people inside his party who might not be, super supportive of some of those things.
James, I want to take that thought bubble that I can see that's about your head and get you to say it out loud. What do you think?
Stomachs are
When you're
so much
elected into
knots
majority
right
government,
now.
then you can kind of plan out your agenda over the course of 36 to 48 months. When you're elected into a minority government, you have to prioritize, and you have to look around the nature of the parliament that's in front of you and where you can get your votes, what requires legislative approval, what you can do by governor and council, what you can do through provinces, and do through Budget Implementation Act. So as a prime minister in a minority government, it'll be incumbent on prime minister to
158.
these are my priorities, and before he puts those priorities out there,
We're 10 points ahead now.
and recognize that he doesn't have a majority of the House. He doesn't have a majority of the popular vote. He has an obligation to respect the democratic mandate that is expressed in the entirety of Parliament and work with others in order to get things done. He is correct, Prime Minister.
Sexy man in the lead.
The biggest challenge that Canada will have, at least through the calendar 2025, and probably for the next couple of years, is the threat of the abrogation of the Canada-U.S. Free Trade Agreement.
Look at those beautiful numbers. Go, man. Look at the beautiful smile. Come on now. We gotta make it funny.
In good faith
Do
in the Conservative Party, in order
You're good,
to
Cat Mel.
that will get Canadian products to global
I'm
markets to
going
mitigate the
crazy,
risk of
okay?
Donald Trump's threat
I'm
on
not even
Canada.
doing my diamond art.
In good faith,
Which, by the
and
way,
acting with open
I
minds and
have
in good faith
finished
can
right
get
to
a
the
lot of good
kitty's
things done for the
nose at
country,
the 40
but
by
it requires
40.
people to come together and for Mr. Carney to come forward and to be prepared to do that.
Okay, so for those of you who know Mr. Foley, then can Canada First and Canada Strong work together?
So I do wonder how much of it is.
Yes, but I would say this. I think what we're going to need is for Mr. Carney to come a little bit further to the center. Because right now, as you said, he's got that basement full of left-wing socialist voters that have got him there. I'm not
Oh my gosh.
Not sure that's enough.
Call it already.
I'll paraphrase. And he,
So that I can go on TikTok and see everybody celebrating.
Than Trudeau ever
Look at that man.
Has two
Ooh, look at that man. Go.
tax and then a carbon tariff at the border.
I don't know who what seat you're from, but yeah, go.
Spending, I don't think.
I don't even know what Liberal I voted for. I just voted Liberal.
So maybe he
Let's
can
go.
back away from some of those things and work with Pierre on some of those things.
Maybe I'm a
Liberals aren't radical like ours are.
Or maybe I'm both.
No, we're at 7 points lead now again. We're at 7.
Remarkable what you can achieve if you don't care who gets
But
the
it
credit.
did go to the blue team.
Parliament is to nation build, and the purpose of Parliament is to bolster the
Yes,
Canadian
go Bruce!
against
Bruce is
the
beating
United
Blue Team in
States,
his
who
own
today
rules,
is joking about
in
us
his
being
own
51st
writing of his
state,
own
who
house.
mocks
Lose
our
your seat!
who
Lose
mocks
your
our Prime
seat!
Minister. If the
Lose your
threat of
seat!
Canada from the President of the United States isn't enough for
Go,
us to work
sexy
together,
Bruce. Go,
we don't
sexy
care who gets the
Bruce.
credit through 2025
He's beating
to
Paul
2026.
PP. Go, sexy Bruce.
2027, 2028. But for now,
That's
let's
the
get
guy
through
that
this
was
threat.
on
Let's
there.
get
He's
through this.
actually
Let's
beating
make
my
the country stronger and
4,000
work together. I think that's what Canadians want more than anything out of this
Not
parliament.
even close.
But you're already
Not
saying
even
this right now.
close.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I agree with Katie on this. Absolutely, that's what Canadians expect. And if you don't, guess what? Next election, they're going to send you the ordinance. I think that's
I have always thought James
It's still
was
too early.
romantic.
Don't be celebrating just yet.
You know, I think it's. I think it's really romanticizing this.
It's about a half hour early.
When we
By the
talk
way,
about
they're calling
religion,
it.
really, that's a word that most of us would associate with
That
pure
would be
Canada. I think
amazing.
it's going to be
Go
really
Bruce.
difficult to try and
If
make
he
that
does it,
dance party work in the House of
I would
Commons.
take a shot. If that man beats PP in his rolling.
Right now, we're talking about Mr. Kelly working with Mr. Carney.
Because that means he loses his seat too. Not only does he lose the position, he loses his seat
Where
too.
does your romantic mindset get us?
Oh, that sucks, but awesome.
He's young.
Send us a Valentine.
Well, look, I think Pierre will still win his riding. The people in the district have known him for 20 years and all that. But look, aside from
Oh, we're 6 points.
the immediacy of the numbers right now, we're talking
For
about
majority.
I think Canadians don't want to go into another election very soon, very quickly. And I think that it's going to be incumbent on Mr. Carney to make those
So how many
those
seats are going to be?
bridges built on stern public policy that will be beneficial to
Yay!
like Ryan,
Yay, my dude's in the lead for my area.
I don't doubt what Mr. Mulcair says about Premier Legault in the province of Quebec.
The Liberal that I voted for is in the lead for my area. Yay! That means he gets a seat.
Different political animal, and their real goal, in my view,
fingers crossed, fingers
2026
crossed.
provincial elections in the province of Quebec and supporting the province of Quebec and what risk that threatens to the country. But for the rest of this year and early into next year, you know, the
But
two
you,
major
oh my
things
God, you
that
should
the
see
government
some of
is
these
to make
numbers,
sure that they're working
and that's
for the benefit of the
CTV.
country, not
That's
for
a
the benefit
different
of the next election
program.
campaign. Canadians don't want to.
You got
They want
CTV,
this country
I've got
strong and
Canadian
united
voting,
to
which
push
is
back
right
against
here,
Donald
which
Trump.
is
That means
CBC,
getting
which is a
Canadian
very
Alberta
big
resources to global
Canadian
markets. It means
worldwide
conservatives
news
recognizing
center.
the shortcomings of their campaign. Little things like
95% of us use this
By
one.
boots, not suits.
by 6.
Successful political parties invite people in. You don't push people away.
Holy
You don't
crap!
say,
You look
"What's wrong with
look
going
at
to
the
work
turnout and
every
look at the
day?
red.
What's wrong with working in the professional services? I understand what Mr. Poilievre was saying in the campaign about boots, not suits, but how about boots and suits?
Keeping the election results closely, but not as major or a minority with me. And with me is the Maternity General of Canada. He is a long-time friend. Carney and provincial format. Praise to him, though, in the campaign. Can you talk about how you are feeling with the
I think we can put
seats in Saskatchewan? I am very happy.
You just lost a seat. It's back down to 5.
I'm trying to read the top of that. You know what I mean? Like there's tweets on top. I think critical, and then it's frozen.
Because of him.
She froze
And
it.
that's something that he has to also realize as well, is how do you speak to all
But I can
all-
still
all
see it
Canadians.
on my
I just think
phone right
we
now.
do have a very good opportunity right now.
She accidentally
Canadians
froze
are
it.
not going to tolerate political infighting when you have a significant threat like this. And I think Mark Carney has been right. He's demonstrated even the little time that he has been as Prime Minister, how he's brought people together, focused on diversifying our market. And
And I think they did a really good deal with shaking off Trudeau's action because it wasn't all Trudeau's minds. He switched everything. Like I said, he has 3 different colleges under his belt. He has 2 doctorates.
Is the interprovincial trade barriers. We need to get
Cat
that
Mel, you still here?
and also diversify the markets to Europe and
Ines,
also
are you still with me?
I know this conversation
I know it's
is
getting
very
close.
on camera, but I'm going to send it over back to you, Omar.
All right, Emery, thank you so much. Let's head on over to Natalie Johnson, who's standing by in the riding of University of Rosedale with Christopher Freeland. And Natalie, I'm wondering what kind of role Christopher Freeland sees in a Mark Carney government now.
Well, that's a great question, Omar. I'll ask her that right now. She would, of course, have been an intimidating incumbent to go up against a political powerhouse who played a role in triggering this snap election. Christian, congratulations on reclaiming your very red riding here at University of Rosedale. But we know that the picture is not quite as merry across the GTA. Can you tell us how you're feeling right now about how slim the minority standing is at this moment?
People are starting to call it that's liberal, but I'm not going to call it until I hear it.
Well, and remember, because your other states or states or whatever you want to call them up there have not. They just started their polling counts now, so this is going to last for a while.
Liberals majority! Breaking news: CBC News just declared Liberals minority. Right there, government liberals.
It's too early to call. They
just said liberal government. That's two of our major. That's 2 of our major news places.
I know, but they're calling it too early.
I don't know, but that means that Carney wins. But that means now we need to know if it's majority.
University of Rosedale is at 90 out of 205, so they just started theirs.
Our national economic interest, and
I'm gonna start breathing a little bit. I'm gonna start breathing a little bit.
You told me earlier today that when you resigned your role as Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, there were some people who were
I'm just reading what I'm seeing on the TV, you know what I mean? I'm just reading what I'm seeing on the live straight here on the CBC. I am seeing what I'm seeing on the CTV, you know what I mean? And so far both of them are calling it.
I had ever done.
Let's see if I can find the other one.
And I knew it was the right thing
it's a 50,
to do.
like actual vote. I'm just trying not to.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Northern Saskatchewan,
Do you anticipate staying on as transport minister, and what role might you play in the Trump tariff discussion?
Have elected
and like a lot of flying
Prime Minister, someone who has done a terrific job in the role of Prime Minister, and he's been doing it, and who has led an astonishing campaign. The ball is in his court now.
Yeah, even CBC News is calling it.
Tonight is about really being so grateful to the teaching University Rosedale.
The answer is conservative would be the largest riding.
Conversation.
I don't know.
By landmass, even
had in this community. And the great work of all my supporters.
Well, thank you very much. Congratulations, Krista Freeland, who holds on to the University Rosedale riding. Krista Freeland had maintained throughout this campaign. The big ballot question here was about the future of
even seat. They're on that.
We've seen exactly what Krista Freeland
one other person
position in the next cabinet.
Yeah, I assume that was going to be in the last, but this is like a
genuine
lead for Banjo at this point.
Natalie, thank you so much. And I just want to get your reaction, your thoughts to what Krista Freeland has just said. I mean, it's remarkable when you go back and think about the role that she has played in this moment.
She set it all off, right? When she talks about people writing them off in December, I mean, one of them to a degree was Krista Freeland herself. It was interesting to hear her comments about how hard that day was. If you think, I think it was December 6th, if I remember right. She, put out a letter on the day that the fall economic statement was to be delivered, essentially saying she was at a crossroads with the Prime Minister about the direction of the country, and that was the beginning of the end of Justin Trudeau, who then, a month later stepped down and set in motion the events that ultimately contributed in large part to Mark Carney winning. Obviously, another part was Donald Trump, but I think, interesting to hear those comments, and certainly she was a huge part of this story. If I could just quickly direct our attention to the board and where everything stands. It is very fluid, but it has also been incredibly tight over the last number of minutes.
So they should catch up very shortly.
But boy, oh boy, when they were both in the 150s, for example, even the popular vote, I think there's not a huge difference right now between the Conservatives and the Liberals. So much like the polling firms and including Manos Research had predicted, this is an incredibly tight race in the public opinion polls, or pardon me, in the popular vote, but also in seats. And just the construct there of what this might mean, particularly if the Liberal number ends up being lower than 160, if the Conservatives continue to eke up. Right now it's going in the opposite direction. But the actual numbers are going to tell a big story as well. Heather Butts
national total was 3,776.86 to 3,688.67.
What the numbers say.
Oh, that was close.
Oh, well, you nailed it, Vashi. The numbers are telling an incredible story this evening.
It's very close.
And how things are ebbing and flowing.
Which is 72.7% to 41.7% of the government.
Holy because we're looking at the national standings and how things are changing as the night goes on, and changing from what our government was. So if we take a look at the national standings, of course, the Liberals right now leading and elected in 161 ridings, the Conservatives 146. But
Nick, the
ahead
by a lot now.
NDP, a pretty significant number there.
Absolutely, both are down, and the NDP not in party status yet.
Rumble is where people
And
that are
Nick,
banned
looking
from
at this
Twitch,
one, tell us a little bit more. We're seeing the NDP around 5%.
Yeah. I checked the history books. If this 5% holds up, it will be the worst showing in the history of the New Democrats. The other worst showing was in the 1993 election. A piece of history that Jagmeet Singh probably doesn't want to be associated with, but looks like that's where he's at.
No, we'll certainly have to wait to see how he answers to that this evening. But again, some really close numbers here. 42% and Poilievre at 41.
Well, think of Pierre Poilievre. Now he can say that
he's
he's
See how my hometown did.
Government, but that's
But
still
the others
up in
have
the
not
air.
been counted
But the
yet
thing is
down there.
that he's done very well.
No, I'm just saying on my picture of Ontario, we've got a dark blue, two reds, a light, you know what I mean? We're actually seeing where all the red votes were, where all the dark votes were, they're showing pictures.
And the Conservatives, as we were just talking about them and their popularity, up 7 seats, Nick.
Yeah, I think for the Liberals, even just up one, considering their near-death experience in terms of where they were at and where they were looking at a Conservative supermajority, you know, being only up one is probably decent. You know, for the Conservatives, they can claim that they're making headways not just in the popular vote, but also in the number of seats. But bad news for Blanchette and bad news for Singh.
Certainly. And Nick, we're seeing an interesting story play out in Ontario, typically helping to decipher who wins an election. Right now, though, it looks like it's who's going to, you know, have a minority majority. They're making that that ruling. The Liberals down 12 seats.
Yeah, we talked a lot about vote efficiency and how popular support would convert into seats. It looks like the Conservative ground game in Ontario was very effective at converting their level of support, even though it was trailing the Liberals, into seats in battleground Ontario.
Okay, let's move over to Western Canada and see how things have changed there. Potential seat change for the Conservative, gaining 8
we hit 172. That's majority. Like, there's no point in going any farther on the voting.
Possibly 10
you know what I mean?
Yes, we were talking
I'm
about
just saying that you went from 163 to 162.
The Liberals
and then they'll just finish off the rest of the seats on who's going to sit where. You know what I mean?
That's manifested
Who gets in what seat?
You know what I mean? That's
what we're doing at this point.
So let's take a look now right across
filling
the
up the
country.
seats. So for what you're wondering
seat change
is right now, since they say they classified it, okay? If it's right, okay?
What stands out the most to you?
With smart voting, what they're doing right now is they're tallying up the seats. See here? This is a flat what our Senate looks like there is on either side, but to have it flat, these are the much of the chairs. See? So each chair represents each, you know, little town, little things that they have voted for.
And again,
you know what I mean?
CTV News
so and they get to go sit in the Senate and then fight back and forth.
Let's bring in Corey, Kathleen,
that's what they're doing at this moment.
I want to go back to a story that's developing and emerging right now.
Because at the point, as you can see, Green Party did have 2 points, and now they've lost the chair.
Pierre Poilievre will capture his riding. What's going through your mind, Corey, as you're watching these results?
So it's very interesting. That's for sure.
All the other seats, and there's some of the biggest numbers that the Liberals have actually.
But both CBC and CTV have both declared Liberals minority.
It's going like over, averaging over 60%. With the Conservative
we will know more about how well he did with his campaign.
We saw this happen in the last provincial election. We were doing very well in the Ottawa area for a long time, and then we just saw those numbers go down. We lost 5 seats in the region, and that's in the provincial race where the provincial party was doing better, where the NDP were doing better, where the Liberals were doing worse. You look at these numbers, and I think it could be in real trouble. I think it could be in real trouble because it's not just Ottawa proper seats, which are dominated by public servants, which is places like Stittsville and that riding. It's also the countryside. The Liberals pulled off a big win in Wingate Prescott Russell, for instance. That went almost 60% Conservative in the last provincial election just a couple of months ago. So something is happening in Ottawa. Something is happening that looks unlike the rest of the province in terms of the numbers. And look, at the end of the day, Carleton is an Ottawa seat. It's a suburban Ottawa seat. So if it holds where these other ridings in the area are holding, he's going to have a real fight on his hands.
Kathleen, I want to talk about Jagmeet Singh. And your thoughts as you look at these numbers, particularly you were the one who earlier mentioned the less than favorable showing in Ontario, in particular, some really solid seats for New Democrats. What are you thinking about right now?
Yeah, it's looking a lot like 1993 when Audrey McLaughlin, leader of the NDP at the time, brought our party down, lost party status down to 9 seats again. Being shut out of Ontario hurts.
It looks right now like we will not pick up our Windsor West, our Hamilton Centre, our London Fanshawe. That's not great for New Democrats. There's still a lot of hope to be held for British Columbia. We have a lot of the New Democrat seats that are leaning or looking, small numbers of polls there, but that are looking good. Obviously, Cowichan, Courtney Alberni, a few others, even the North Island, which I wasn't sure was going to go our way, is leaning our way. But certainly, New Democrats flock to other parties. I'm not sure if it was completely. I do think that the Conservatives pulled some of our vote in some areas too, but Liberals were the benefiter for sure. And right now it seems like Canadians have hired Mr. Carney to take on Trump.
Why is there something funny to me about imagining
he borrowed those votes. And if he fails to actually deliver on the U.S. question, those votes will hopefully come back. But there's going to be a lot of rebuilding if New Democrats don't form party status. Actually, I want to pick up something quickly on your other panel that was saying about party status. And there is an opportunity,
42.6% Liberals
to actually think about giving New Democrats, having the grace to give New Democrats party
That's how
status.
close this race is.
In a minority parliament, all the busy work happens in committees.
Right now, the party that I am voting for is in
those committees. Those committees will be very problematic.
People in
It
the
also
chat
means
that
they
don't
won't have
know
any
who we're
Democrat
talking about. It's like
on the
Andrew
internal
Long
board
is
of
the guy who
economy, which is a really
a top dog at True North. Like he was like a managing editor or something, which is True North is that right-wing rag that is now transitioned into
this kind of stuff that actually will
So he
help
was
the
like a
Parliament run more smoothly. Listen, he's a neophyte politician. He's going to need help, to make Parliament work.
So there was a point a few minutes ago, Scott, where it was like a dead heat almost. Like the Liberal edge was very small. That has since amplified, right? You're looking right now at 164 seats to 146. This is, not a conclusive number at this point. What type of minority government does that look like to you versus, neck and neck?
I think the plurality is going to be reasonably solid by the time we're done in the evening. And Corey and I were talking, Kathleen, off camera. When you look at the effect of the advance ballots coming in for the end of the evening, you look at all of those post-rise,
Wonderwall guy. 9 points and we've got majority.
You can see that the Liberal plurality has come up.
I would like to draw everybody
to me, the issue
with
is
what's going on there?
Really about Carney and his agenda. And, looking at what the other panel was talking about when you thought about these questions about how you manage Trump. How do you take on these challenges? I mean, let's be crystal clear about this. Mark Carney, as Prime Minister, inherits a country in crisis. Right? We are in a trade-off with our largest partner, with the world's largest economy, with the world's largest military. Our security and economic relations are in question. We are going to have to ask our Prime Minister to make decisions that may be broadly unpopular, or at least specifically unpopular among certain regions, certain people, certain places, certain sectors. That's going to be part of the job of Prime Minister, is to take some unpopular decisions. It is much harder to do that when you're in a minority parliament. But when folks are saying, well, this means he's going to feel beholden to Quebec, so therefore he won't do pipelines. I think that's a complete misreading of Mark Carney. I think he has all the potential and was on course if he'd been in a majority situation to be a radical Prime Minister, someone who's willing to undertake really quite sweeping change and re-engineer the economy, our relationship with the United States, and move on these things in a sense of crisis, and take the permission that crisis sometimes grant you to do things like energy infrastructure and internal trade.
Yay! Elizabeth May, the Green Party co-leader. That's who got her chair.
Out of reflex.
Yay!
Vote against everything. If he isolates an issue and says, I want to do this on energy, and I know that the Bloc won't love it, but why in hell can't I get some conservatives? Because are the Conservatives now just going to focus on, well, how soon can we end this?
If you're wondering, it's the CTV one. And they're covering the Green Party.
Whale of a story that is yet to come this evening is, will Pierre Poilievre still be leader? Will he hang on to his riding? And how might that affect the management of the parties in a minority
parliament? Because they're the only
there's
ones that
a lot of cards to be played.
And Scott, as you're speaking, we're just getting some results from the westernmost part of the country, from Saanich Gulf Islands, which of course is Elizabeth May's riding, and the CTV News Decision Desk can now tell you that she is keeping her riding.
Did I ever tell you about the time I met him and he was
47.3? Yay! Ontario was 47.3 Liberal. Nice. That's not bad.
The whole evening has been
not bad percentage. That's almost half. That's not bad.
Obliterated, and Elizabeth May hangs on.
Well, speaking.
He's like, what sort of deal do you make? And I'm like 5'7", so I'm like, hi, God. And he goes, and I said jokes about And he's like, oh, I see. Like, that would have not how I expected it.
More polls in Carlton, 40 and 266. It's less than, but not by enough. Banjoy's still 53.7, here is 42%. Yeah, still 2,000 votes ahead.
All right, so obviously the audio not that great, but you can tell from her facial expressions that she's jubilant, she's celebrating.
First time I've ever heard someone describe it.
Kathleen, if we can go back to you, speaking of political futures, and speaking of, Jagmeet Singh, does he stay or does he go? Because, I mean, we've been talking a lot about the NDP and the collapse in their support. To be fair, he was able to advance significant causes in this parliament. What happens to him now?
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a lot of reflection, which is the pat answer. But I mean, holding on to incumbents is not a high bar. And certainly party status is a low bar. I think we need to get back to a party that wants power, not just influence, and a party that works for that and represents working people across this country and brings forth social democratic values. Because these are the values of Canadians. The Democrats have fought throughout the years for the programs, the social programs that Canadians care most about. Pensions, health care, things like dental care. And so there's going to be after some introspection, And I really think that, Jagmeet will go down in the history books. He has done some incredible things in this past parliament, but the party's going to have to look at some serious renewal.
All right, and Scott, I just want to pick up on Christopher Freeland's comments and just your thoughts on that. What kind of role do you see for her in a Carney government? We know that Donald Trump has used some colorful language to describe her, so not the greatest relationship there. How can you bring unity within these former Liberal leadership contenders? How does Mark Carney do that, and also give her some kind of cabinet role that she'd be happy with?
Look, I actually think it's less challenging than you might think. Chrystia Freeland's very capable. She's a great minister. She's a great Ottawa minister. She's a great boardroom minister. Fixing problems, managing government itself and the apparatus of government. I think she's weaker when we see her as a public communicator, someone that's trying to carry and summon public consensus. It's just not her strength, even as we saw in that interview, to be honest with you. And so I think, to be blunt, he'll find a place where he can harness her talents in his cabinet. But I don't think, I don't think she's going to be point on the Canada-U.S. file as an example. I don't think she's going to be point on the energy file.
I think we want to head over to, actually, let's take a look right now where things stand in Pierre Poilievre's riding. You can see 40 of 266 polls reporting. It is a close race. 1,500 votes separate right now the Liberal candidate Bruce Vanjoy and Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party. Burnaby Central, here we've got Jagmeet Singh's riding. With 39 of 200 polls reporting, and Mr. Singh, the leader of the NDP, right now sitting in third place. Certainly, Omar, if that is solidified and we declare it a loss for Jagmeet Singh, and there is a loss of official party status as well, his future is very much in peril. I would say also another key NDP riding that Kathleen mentioned, Hamilton Centre, Matthew Green, the incumbent NDP candidate, also taking a loss, or at least poised to take a loss there. Let's go over to Heather Wright, who's actually in that riding now. Hey, Heather.
I read every platform when I didn't read it.
Door to door, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood.
Yeah.
Completing an effort that started.
All right, it looks like Heather Wright is standing by. Heather, can you hear us?
We don't need 10 city parties. We have enough.
I had
No.
When that happens, it's going to be great. I promise.
What
She will have lots to say when we do reach her finally. But if you're Jagmeet Singh tonight and looking at these numbers, I mean, he's not even in that riding that he represents. So not great news from Hamilton Centre. We can see here that the Liberals has a 537 seat vote lead right now. And I'm being told that we do have Heather Wright with us. Heather, can you hear us now?
Oh, there's a guy who's like, I created an AI staff member and then immediately started learning.
Well, so we're here. I'm just speaking a little quietly because the candidate here, the NDP candidate, Matthew Green, he just arrived. He is going to lose his riding license likely here in Hamilton Centre. We've heard from
And he's like actively asking this AI about boundaries. Like, am I out of line here? The AI is like, nah, you're great.
Trying to hold on to these seats, telling his supporters to hold the line here. But this, along with a number of other NDP seats here in Southern Ontario, look like they will be flipping. And so we're hearing from Matthew Green now. He's speaking to his supporters who a little while ago said it felt like a funeral here. And so this, again, is part of that broader story of the NDP collapse here in Ontario and in other ridings across the country.
Tomorrow we wake up, this country will be a different place.
All right, thank you so much. This is a huge upset just following along this storyline of NDP losses. Nikki Ashton, a really long-time NDP MP in the Manitoba riding of Churchill, taking a loss to her Liberal competitor, Rebecca Chartrand. That is a significant loss. When I had spoken to people in the NDP campaign, they thought that was potentially a pretty safe seat for them, so that's a big deal. Another big upset for the NDP over in Edmonton, one of those central Edmonton, downtown Edmonton ridings, which has gone NDP at times, including in the last election, now flipping. To Carrie Diaz, who ran for mayor, I believe, also sat as an MP at some point. Pretty well-known conservative figure in Edmonton, Omar, but a big hit for the NDP there as well.
And official party status is significant. I mean, the NDP sitting right now, again, just right now at 8 states, official party status is 12. It's not just a fancy title. I mean, this comes with resources, budgets, money, exactly, and significantly increases a party's ability to discourse, that sort of thing. So it's not just a title, it does carry some weight to it, and that's why it is important to reach at least that 12-seat threshold in whatever parliament you happen to be in.
One piece of just sorry to interrupt, one piece of quick good news for them, but in this long tail now of bad news, Alexandre Belouris re-elected to their lone seat in Quebec. We were just able to declare.
That's great news for them. I believe we have Colton Prail right now, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Colton Prail standing by. Tell us, Colton, where you are and what you're hearing.
I noticed he was going to bust out a John Kerry.
Hey, Omar, I'm in the Conservative HQ here, and the reactions tonight have been stark. We've seen intense anger, especially when we called the result, before we even had a minority or majority. But since then, that emotion has quelled, and it's turned into this level of disbelief. The number of supporters that I've talked to here that are stunned that they find themselves in what they regard as essentially the same situation they were in 5 weeks ago is significant. And in some cases, that disbelief is literal. When we saw the closing of those polling numbers, of those result numbers, when they were both in the 50s, for example, there were chants of bring it home here. There were supporters who, despite us having called the results, genuinely still believed that this was up for grabs and that this was still available to them. That has subsided a little bit here, but what we're left with is massive questions around the future of the party. Everyone I speak to still says they feel like Pierre Poilievre is the leader for the Conservatives and they have their faith behind him, but at the same time they're looking at the results coming in Carleton and again wondering how they can be in such a tight race. It's been an array of emotions throughout the night. The party officials who I've spoke to have had a very different reaction, and I think it is important to highlight they feel good. I mean, this is obviously not the result that they were looking for, but they are proud of the campaign they run.
We're aiming at like in the last like 20
speaks to why this level of disbelief is here. So many of these people were at the rallies, they were surrounded by thousands of other supporters, and they're just having a hard time grasping how what they experienced there could translate into the results they're seeing tonight.
Every single person in that room right now, Colton, is going to be watching to see what happens with Pierre Poilievre in his home riding.
He's probably one of the most credible
Carleton-Dashiell. Yeah, edge of your seat stuff. We want to return to that story of the NDP suffering some really significant losses that puts their status as an official party in jeopardy. Jagmeet Singh now in third position in Burnaby Central. His riding, we're waiting to see conclusively what happens there, but it's not looking good for the leader of the NDP. Let's head over to Burnaby, where we find our Judy Trin. She is reporting from the NDP headquarters this evening. Judy, what is the mood there right now? How are they internalizing what we are seeing in the form of these results?
Vashi, they are trying to remain upbeat. As
We're
you
back.
can hear
I'm just
behind
waiting
me,
for the
they are
camera to
trying
load.
to cheer for any positive result that has come in that they see on the board. But let's face it, in Burnaby right now, Jagmeet Singh is polling third. He is far behind the Liberal candidate as well as the Conservative candidate. It's important to point out that these are two relative unknowns. He was the incumbent, he had the brand recognition, and he is in third place at this point. What I can tell you, and what I think is the story, is this collapse of the NDP in Ontario. And what is interesting to me is when you look at where the votes are going, where are the NDP votes going, right? Specifically in Southwest Ontario. What is interesting is that in London, as well as in Windsor, those seats, those NDP seats went to Conservative candidates. And I want to give our viewers a little bit of context. Pierre Poilievre was the last leader to visit Windsor. He actually visited Windsor, but his time on April 11th. But his timing may have been perfect in regards to speaking to the constituents there. He visited Windsor on April 11th. That was the day that the GM plant, electric vehicle plant, CAMI, announced that it was going to go under a partial shutdown, a temporary shutdown. They said it wasn't related to the tariffs, but it was related to declining sales. So once again, he was in that region espousing his message while Mark Carney was in Ottawa, while Jagmeet Singh was also in Ottawa at the time. So whether or not, even despite being the last leader to visit this automotive heartland, the manufacturing heartland of Canada, whether or not he was able to speak most directly to the people. And I think that also the other story that sticks out for me is that the NDP really wanted to talk about the fact that they were endorsed by so many unions, the most unions of any party, despite the fact that Liberals and the Conservatives were actively courting. Unions that represented more than 1 million workers. But those unions, those unionized workers may not have showed up for them at the polls. Vashi, Omar.
All right, thank you so much, Judy. A lot of different results coming in British Columbia. We're seeing some significant pickups for the Conservatives, but also for the Liberals, all of it at the expense of the NDP. A lot to watch there. It's a very dynamic situation, and it's going to inform where those numbers at the bottom of your screen actually end up over the course of the evening.
Let's get to Heather Butts. She's been tracking the context in all this, looking at the people behind the numbers. And Heather, what can you tell us?
Well, Omar, we're actually going to pick up on what my colleague Judy Trin was just talking about there, and that is the NDP and how they ended up losing so many votes and where those votes went to. So, Nick, we're going to talk about vote efficiency. What does that mean for our audience?
Well, you have to think of it this way, Heather. The thing is there's popular support, and the thing is that the number of seats you can generate with the votes that you have, the more efficient that you are, the more likely you are to win an election. In this particular campaign, those smaller parties, the NDP and the Bloc, just have been crushed by both the Liberals and the Conservatives.
And let's head to southwestern Ontario. We're giving you a map, a visual representation of what Judy Trin was just talking about. The fact that the Conservatives have really swept this this region. And this is, as she mentioned, a place where there's a lot of manufacturing jobs. The auto sector is a huge employer in this region.
Yeah, an absolute breakthrough for the Poilievre Conservatives in southwestern Ontario. And if you remember when at the beginning of the night we were talking about races that were too close to call, it was in this particular region. And what it shows is that the Conservative campaign was able to punch above its weight, explains why it was able to pick up a significant number of seats in Ontario and help them close the gap with the Liberals.
Okay, let's head towards the Kitchener area. Nick, I want to look at this riding. Kitchener Centre. The Conservatives in the lead by 781.
So I guess we're not going to see him be happy? That's new.
Incumbent.
You know what I mean?
And
that's a new one.
For the Conservatives here, and for the Greens, they don't have a lot of seats to start off with, and losing, Kitchener Centre is a significant setback for a party that's trying to make a breakthrough, and actually a party that's really struggling right now.
And Nick, I just want to point out, because we are talking about the NDP in last place in this riding with just 625 votes.
Yeah, and think of it this way. There are a lot of university students around there, so the fact that the Greens are losing the seat, the NDP are not doing well, is really indicative of what's happening tonight.
Okay, let's take a look at Kitchener-Conestoga. Two-horse race here. Nick, the Conservatives in the lead, 492 votes over the
This probably speaks to the organization.
And some of these have not even been counted yet either, so just remember,
challenging to unseat the Liberal incumbent in Kitchener-Conestoga.
Okay, and Nick, let's talk about vote efficiency. That is what we were talking about earlier.
This is points at the seats now. Carney won.
Through this, the Conservatives doing quite
Carney
well.
won.
So, yeah, think of it this way.
So now they're just doing seat calculations on who's going to be sitting where now.
They won a whopping
That's what's doing it. If you notice, it's not changing anymore here.
The effective targeting, probably the tour of Pierre Poilievre.
And liberals, liberals for the majority. They're even CTV's counting it and they're ending it. I'm just. Are we gonna see them?
You know, not being as efficient in terms of converting their support into seats.
We really see that, Nick, especially when we talk about getting out the vote and how they are campaigning across the country. So if we look at the vote value nationally,
welcome in, sweetie. I'm sorry I didn't see you hop in.
The polling information there.
Yeah, it is. Except if you're the New Democrats, think of it this way. You know, they only converted, percentage by 1/3, like 6% to 2 in terms of percentage of seats. It shows how inefficient the New Democrats were.
Certainly a very big story unfolding this evening with the New Democrats. And it is seen right there on that vote efficiency. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Heather, thank you so much. I want to send it to Genevieve Beauchemin, who's at Liberal headquarters right now. And obviously, positive news for the Liberals, if you're a Liberal, seeing the fact that there is, Genevieve, a Liberal government. The fact that it's a minority government certainly doesn't give them the mandate of a majority government.
I will definitely be sleeping better tonight.
Well, you know, there was a lot of cheers and there was some hugging when the.
But it's sad that I'm completely surrounded with blue.
The minority part of it is, of course, worries. Some people are just like I saw some people biting their nails still watching the screen.
So I have
two Liberal supporters with me.
Conservative and a Liberal government.
They actually met and they met.
That's awesome. In-house too. That's awesome. I've got like a half and half debate in Ontario, which is good.
I came in here tonight.
So Doug Ford is Conservative, which he won his in April or in February, and William just won the election for Ontario and here. So so that's red and blue. And then of course overall, Carney is going to be our premier, which he's already signed our money and stuff. So
I don't know.
Still too early to call. There's still a lot of places that are still
Tyler, I just wanted to ask you, I mean, we're looking at some of the numbers.
Yeah, that's unfortunately what it is. It's the majority we're looking, but there's no changes, no nothing.
I'm very excited about the.
They're only doing the seats. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister's already been picked. Carney's won. That's official. Now it's just where are we getting the majority Liberal or are we getting more Conservative Party, and where is everybody sitting in the seats? That's what we're sitting at.
What made you hopeful about
But it's official. Carney is our Prime Minister. He will be going against everything.
And when I went back,
somebody
just
gifted subs
and got even better responses that they had voted in the advance polls or voted this morning. So it gave me more hope.
You were talking about the fact that many people had gone to the polls early.
Yeah, exactly. I find that this election in particular is a very important one of our.
I just don't know if PP lost his seat yet.
Obviously don't know the numbers right now, but I think we're going to have a much higher turnout than our last election, and that's a good thing for Canada as a whole, for our democracy, and the people getting out to vote is nothing but good things for this country.
I did want to ask you told me before that both of you had not really been volunteers before. What was it about this particular election?
Yeah, so this one I think is, the recent geopolitical climate that we have, here and abroad. It's a very important election. I have two young daughters at home. I would like to set an example for them and shape a future that I would like them to see Canada as they grow up in.
Thank you so much. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Genevieve. Geneviève Bushman there talking to some Liberal supporters. If we could, I'd love to call up the popular vote right now, because it is telling a fascinating story of the evening. We knew there would be a coalescing of support, according to public opinion polls, behind one of the two parties, Omar. But my goodness, to what degree? Both parties right now have captured more than 40% of the popular vote. I think we're at something like, my eyes are terrible, but I think it's 42.6% compared to 41.9%. We're looking at less than 1%. That divide, that separates these two parties. Like, this is the last time the Conservatives won a majority government. They were at 39-point-something%. They didn't even eclipse 40%. They've eclipsed it, and they aren't able to form government. This is unreal, actually.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Kearney has been the thing. Now we're just figuring where the seats and stuff like that for the Senate. For the Senate. Now it's the seats and stuff for the Senate.
The numbers are shifting as the votes are being counted. It is just another fascinating storyline in a night of fascinating storylines as these numbers are coming in real time. I want to get to Anne-Marie and her panel right now. And Anne-Marie, a couple questions for your panel that I'm not thinking of as we're watching this data come in.
But they did win more votes for their seats, though, from
minority government
1998.
And is there a scenario to combat that by offering a Conservative a chance to form cabinet with Mark Carney? Could we see that coalition situation?
Going back to Parliament and things, so we're figuring out Parliament seats is what's going on right now.
Unlikely for a Prime Minister to invite an opposition member to sit in cabinet. There might be ways to informally work together in Parliament, at committees. There's lots of work.
But if you wanted to go live, I can quit this. You know what I mean? I'm good now.
Look,
you know what I mean? I know who's running my
almost 30 seats.
My country. You know what I mean? And I'm happy with that. So
since 1988. So they're showing
or how the seats go, I don't care.
You
know what I mean?
Majority. And the Liberals are coming back with a few more seats. Thanks
my
to
fear is complete.
NDP and the Bloc. So I think everybody's got to come.
I just wish I know if PP is going to resign.
Parliament, recognizing that these are the two parties that really need to work together if we want to do something on the economy and we want to deal with the issue of trade and tariffs. Because I don't know if we're going to find the dance partner with the Bloc or the NDP potentially. So let's hope that both leaders can focus on the economy. But no, I don't think you would see a Prime Minister invite someone from the opposition to sit in a cabinet. It would be a much more informal.
So it kind of feels like my vote did actually matter this time.
Well, you called yourself that, not me. Is this an enemies to lovers situation, if we could put it in a...
No, I mean, like, 4 months ago, Pierre Poilievre was going to win a big majority, and he didn't.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, Mark Carney was going to win a big majority, and he didn't. So I think humbled is the right word.
Right.
Both parties, had outstanding turnouts in terms of the popular vote mandates that they have. It's a question of the efficiency of the vote where it's placed around the country. In terms of go forward, I mean, look, every single day we all wake up and we pour through the headlines and we see different narratives from Donald Trump about, why he's putting in what tariffs or what he's not, and he's going after China, then he's backing away. But it's about fentanyl, no, it's not. It's about borders, it's not. It's about capturing an auto sector back in the United States and repatriating investment. On a day-to-day basis, you kind of don't know. But I think as has been shown in the past, Ron and I sat on an AFTA council with the former government because we put country first. And I think that, any government in this certain circumstance where it looks like the Conservative Party has a massive high new floor in terms of what its vote base of supporters across the country. Pierre Poilievre did extraordinarily well in terms of the number of Canadians who voted for the Conservative Party, the best result since I was, 12 years old. And that's an incredible accomplishment. But it's not efficient. It's more rural, and it's more working class, and it didn't quite have the efficiency in terms of seats. We don't count votes, we count seats. So there's work to be done there in the long term. But yeah, I mean, you have an absolute collapse in the Democratic vote and a fall of the Bloc Québécois vote, and you see what you see in terms of the seat count. So yeah, I mean, look, there's lots to go through here in terms of the results and what it means in the long term. But specifically with Canada, U.S., I think Prime Minister Carney obviously has an obligation. He asked for a mandate to become Prime Minister to deal with the United States, and there are some really smart, thoughtful people out there who have experience with this administration from 16 to 20 and the current dynamic,
like I said, like they do have a lot of like
call upon
secularism
in order to try to navigate us forward for the next couple of years.
And I agree with that. And but I also, I think the obligation is on Prime Minister Carney, but the obligation is also on the other members of the House of Commons who are not in government, because we are facing a national crisis. We are facing an existential threat to our economy, and so it's really important for all the members of the House of Commons to be united as often as they can. So Carney has to reach out, but also the Conservatives, I think, have to reach back too. And I think that's really what Canadians want to see, is not a relitigation of the election and a constant at each other's throats about everything. I think we want to see our Parliament working together.
Okay, let me ask, Harjit, I'll let you jump in a second, but let me ask you or Rhonda this question, James, and that is, when we've seen how Pierre Poilievre is in opposition for these last 10 years, now we're talking about a humbling of both sides. What does that look like now when we're debating? What does that look like when we're trying to get things passed?
Harry Weinstock, the loneliness here.
Is he able to do that kind of a pivot? Well, you mentioned that
yep, and
Mark
I will
Carney
be right back,
should reach out
Harry.
and Pierre should reach back. But also it has to go the other way. So we've got this split in the country. The issue of tariffs and Trump are important for a lot of people. The issue of affordability is important for a lot of people. So Mark Carney's platform was one of big spending and new taxes. So we also need him to work with Pierre on those issues in a new budget. So there has to be the tariff issue addressed, there has to be the national unity issue addressed, there has to be the resource economy issues addressed, there has to be taxation addressed, addressing the deficit. So all of these things fall out amongst this split that's almost feels like it's almost down the middle from a popular vote point of view. And both leaders are going to have to come together and work on these together.
While those two leaders are trying to work together and to figure this piece out, what happens with the NDP? We have Jagmeet Singh, who's currently sitting in third place in his riding. Who and what does the NDP need to do next, Tom?
Wiped out in Ontario, and people like Nikki Ashton losing their seats. This is a really tough April.
Brian Massey in Windsor West. What does that say?
All right, guys, we are going to change things up a bit.
And I know of no one who's supported the auto sector more than Brian Massey. And yet we talked a lot about the GTA and the efficiency of the Liberal vote there, and that was proven tonight. But talk about a stealth operation. I mean, I don't think anybody saw the Conservatives running the table in southwestern Ontario the way they just did. So it was an extraordinary result on their part. And it reminds us that you can have the support of all of the union leaders, but that doesn't necessarily translate at all into the vote of the union members who were showing up in large numbers for Poilievre's rallies because he was talking their language.
What did they see in Pierre Poilievre that they didn't see in their NDP representatives?
I think that the NDP had become a little bit self-satisfied with the support.
We are going to do some Oblivion Remastered.
And for them, that was going to be enough, and it would translate into votes, but it doesn't. And that's one of the things that they had to learn. I also think that there's a little bit of a lesson in there for Mr. Poilievre and his way of dealing with things, because there is a little bit of you have to be careful what you wish for in this, because they went after Jagmeet Singh with tons of money. They attacked him very personally, calling him sellouts, saying things that were a lot worse than that, and they went after him headlong. And it worked.
You do, because like Laurel Collins.
And a part of this result is that people who would have otherwise voted for the NDP went over to the Liberals and probably gave Mr. Carney that boost, that tiny boost, because the numbers up there. Jim said it earlier in the evening. I don't remember too many.
That's the election for the Canadians.
See, if my vote.
Because there's stranger danger here.
We're gonna go.
I gotta see if my vote is right.
Officer Luis, sir.
We're gonna go to Oblivion. Let's go ahead and do this. Welcome in for those who just came in. Hope you stay and chat a while. Because we're going to be playing some Oblivion right now.
Wild and some great.
It's like the speeder will get away without a ticket. But observe is lucky to get away with life. The Tiger Ocean, Officer Caleb Phillips, full emergency responder mode. Lights flashing, siren blaring, the whole.
Yep. We're gonna do some Oblivion in the dark. We're gonna see how everything's going.
Pulling over. The Oblivion person cuts them. And bombs. It's best luck that no one is injured. But I need in Oklahoma, things won't end as well. And I went to Steve Miller, this I need a clear criminal and one felon. When the ball man activates the siren, the little one makes him run for it. Immediately, he hits a snag. A blind blow blocking traffic. The
Some Chewies are going to be gone.
And across the oncoming lane. Muscle to run him down.
Nope, that's all I want. R is hotkey. Let me go over to the live stream. So that way you guys get to see.
Nothing can stop Andrews catching his prey. He'd be fun, man. Bus driver doesn't hear the way he did it. And the brake packs are slams into the bus. As Billy pulls up to the scene, he can see the twisted gas back and a sea of debris. Somehow, none of the children
You know what? Hold on a minute.
As for Andrews, it's just devastating crap. No. And the talking about the perfect is Casey is trusted just miles down the road. You're often in moments like these.
Let's go there. Maybe we can find some cool and awesome, unique stuff.
But they can find it so much friends hopefully. Counting on knocks against the brook.
So I still have my horse. So, nothing new there.
It's after hours and it's a custom Georgia ball. The one determined customer is craving some midnight family. We need some midnight. Try the door smacking from as he lays over along the upper door.
Do this in first person. And I don't need mods for this game, really. Because this game is fun by itself.
Or he gets mopped up by the Hokie Ryan. He feel like it by the Lion. Look at him. But he's too late. Police active outside. Of course, this world is already proven. But it's overthrown. He slaps at the officer. Then he tries to sprint away. They catch up and douse him with bait. Get up, Kirby. And when he still won't surrender, they use the baton. Bang, it's got him all away. Get up, Kirby. Get up, Kirby. There you go. Hey, John, come on, hold on. Just the ground. I'm like your typical smacking rapper.
I've got it. I literally built up these skeletons right apart.
Yeah, I do.
Arrow 6.
Hey, you go.
Okay, so I gotta sleep.
It's not without getting 10-year tour of the state prison system. You know the group. Well, it's video. A slow driving truck is being cuts me. And it's a jumper. Crossing swords.
Okay, so I gotta sleep and rest.
The officer asked them, what about the thing? That's what makes them now they know. The patrol by return car. The family makes them move to Fort Hood. Maybe swap me in. The saucy day, something.
Got it. It's open.
And he'll have some more insight on this for us, Todd.
So
we talked a lot about this at the outset of the show, and it looked like there was some real positive gains being made by the conservatives. And then as the night progressed, those numbers seemed to shift a bit. And at the end of it, when you look at the seat change in Atlantic Canada, we just had.
How the hell am I over encumbered already?
Yes, stay safe.
At 250.
Bye. Bye.
Chased by them. Company of funny bosses. And
fish.
counting him out yet. We're still waiting on knowing if he's going to lose his seat or not.
Back tonight. But it wasn't a kind of collapse with the NDP scene. The Liberals have made gains, probably about 10 seats at the end of the night. The Bloc has lost 11. But what was so interesting in the campaign in Quebec is that it seemed people decided not to vote for a party that they really cared for, which is the Bloc. for fear of what was happening in the world outside Quebec.
Welcome in.
Yep, what's going on, everybody?
There was a lot of concern about Mark Carney's ability to speak French, but it was interesting to see.
Playing the Oblivion remake, brother.
Yeah, I wanted to give that game a try, but that shit is just too big right now to play that game.
It's not too big.
Oh, you gotta put 100 hours into that game. It is big.
You don't have to put no money into the game, dude.
No, I said 100 hours into the game.
Well, less
I don't have. No, a lot of my friends say it's about 100 hours to beat that game. To fully beat it, to get everything.
Okay. And that comes with time.
Yeah.
And with patience.
Yeah, but I know I got a lot of games that I got to put my time and patience into right now.
I can play this at any time that I wish, dude. It's just one of those games where I enjoyed when I was a kid playing this.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but then it's also a lot of gigabytes for that game. It's 130.
115. What the hell are you?
Yeah, no, it's 130 for me.
I look on my console.
No, you know what it is? Because I have the next gen. I have to do next gen fucking download. That's why. What, most left? I was going to see if they wanted to. That's why I hopped in to see if they wanted to do an episode or two of fucking our TV show.
Anna's too busy right now with her politics.
Oh, they're still not ready yet?
Let's see a game of a couple of Liberal seats in the area. One of those that they are
Yeah. There we go. Alright, Anna's having a busy day today. So there's no TV show?
2 chats.
What happened? Alright, we can do that tomorrow then.
It's fairly significant. There was a lot of talk over the last few days about the potential for the Liberals to do very potentially win that seat. You also saw Mark Carney on the board.
Go to Skin, Brad.
But it was a different candidate, Chandra Arya, who was in there before. That is now Mark Carney.
Still haven't announced nobody yet for her?
A bit of change as well in Prescott Russell with a new person.
Go, Bruce, go!
Really intriguing.
You still haven't, nobody won yet?
No, we've got Liberals won, so Carney's in the thing. Now we're just trying to figure out which seats are which, and if PP, which is the Conservative, is going to lose his seat or not to the Liberal that he's trying to go against. If he loses his seat, he's out. So now it's just seeing if he loses his sleeve. But as far as it stands, Mark Carney is the Premier of Canada.
Just let me know what you want.
So the guy that's doing the elbows ups and went all over the world, he's still in power.
All right.
The one that took over for Trudeau, he's still in power.
What can I interest you in?
Now we're just seeing if it's how many houses are in the Senate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, something like we're here.
Yeah, so now it's just figuring out how many seats does the red have, how many seats does the blue have, how many seats the orange has, or the light blue has, or the green. You know,
okay.
That's where we're at right now.
So we're
going to figure out, does the Liberal have overall, you know what I mean, or is it a minority?
Okay, got you. So we can just, so what's going on for today? We could just do our TV show tomorrow.
I'm relief right now. I'm just kind of breathing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Let's just do our TV show tomorrow because you're kind of like, you know, going through the motion right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. This has been a very
more than I'd use.
Very hard campaign for me because normally I'm just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Whoever it is. You know what I mean? But I'm very happy with what the polls are like. Now I'm just kind of watching the seats and seeing if he'll come out and say thing, and if the person that was conservative, the person that we wanted to lose, because unfortunately, even today, you can check on Trump's social media, he actually started endorsing PP today, which is the conservatives.
Okay.
So yeah. So unfortunately, because of the fact Mark Carney won, he now has to try to keep his seat by going against the people that he was going against. You know what I mean? His liberal section of his town. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So right now he's going against like Bruce, the liberal, him as obviously the conservative. He's going against some dude from I can't pronounce his name, Sun Jung or something like that for the MP, and then he's going, and then the beautiful Laviante is the Green Party. So right now Bruce is beating, unfortunately, Pierre Poilievre, and if he loses tonight, he loses his seat. Means he's automatically kicked out of Parliament. He'll lose his position. Right across.
I just stopped in to see how's everything going, and then to see if you want to do the TV show. But what's going on right now with this?
I'm pretty good. I'm good. I'll know if PP loses his seat by tomorrow because it'll be all over the news. You know what I mean? I really don't have to pay attention to that. What I was paying attention to see who actually won, and I've already got the answer, so I'm good.
All right. You want to watch at least one episode before my homie gets back from the gym?
I think C Gaming is streaming though. I think.
Are you streaming gaming?
Yep.
Oh, he is streaming. All right.
Be nice. You know what I mean? Gonna go stop. Have a like and a share.
We could do a TV show tomorrow then.
Yeah. Tonight, I wasn't expecting it to go this long. It was supposed to be by 11:30.
But most elections do end up going this long. That's what it is.
It went into overtime because of the fact of how much early voting there was. We broke records on early voting this year.
It's almost like what we did with the early voting.
Yeah. So
regardless of whose side won. Like,
so because of that, we
also broke this way early.
It slowed it right down, but it's been a very friggin' tight pace by like 9 points. 9 points. That's how close that race is, or was 9 points. That's how close the race was.
Fuck, man, I'm doing Frankie. I think Tomb Raider, I'm gonna just not play that no more because I'm not getting no viewers with that game.
What? Have a look at my wares.
Tomb Raider.
I'm sure there's something to suit you.
I was getting more viewers playing fucking The Witcher than I was with that. Yeah, The Witcher than I was with that one.
Price for a good customer.
So I'm assuming by like 2 o'clock we'll see like parties going out. You know what I mean, from coast to coast.
Nope. Oh, let me actually take fucking Tomb Raider off my fucking thing.
Rallies. I'm hoping to see Mark Carney's face. I've seen the liberal, the conservatives' face. They weren't happy tonight, but I'm extremely happy. I can breathe. I'm going to be able to sleep tonight.
No.
I can buckle down for the next 4 years, knowing no matter what kind of hardship, I'm going to be safe as a Canadian. And my beliefs. That's all that matters to me. Of course, I'm getting this.
That seems a fair price. That seems a fair. You've made a good.
Oh,
that's a good deal.
Okay, MVP is speaking now.
That's a fair.
Thank you so much.
there was most of my weight. All those damned fucking potions.
We gotta keep it together, folks. Thank you very much. The love is amazing. Appreciate y'all.
Come back and see me again.
She's been with us from the beginning.
Goodbye.
There was most of my weight. I wonder why I couldn't fucking pick up anything.
Thank you so much for everything you've done. You're amazing. Love you.
I haven't time for fools.
Spare a coin for the infirm.
Election parties, night parties across the country. are gathered. I want to thank them all.
Over here!
For all their hard work. They're amazing people.
You.
Gathered together.
We need to talk.
I want to take a moment to congratulate.
We can't talk here. Too public. Meet me behind the great chapel at midnight. Don't let anyone follow you. I'll make it worth your while.
There's the MVP admitting Carney won.
By what right do you disturb me?
All of us here, we're on Team Canada. We want Canada to thrive, and we're going to continue.
Maybe I have to find some better armor and shit.
Not so loud, please. What a headache I've got. I'm Agnet the Smith. The Pickled, they call me. Sure wish I was pickled right now. I can fix whatever you break.
I wonder why. Was it doing a lot of damage?
Only quality goods for sale here. What can I interest you in?
Helmet of Ferocity.
We had really good candidates that lost tonight. I know how hard you worked.
I think I might go with
You're amazing.
armor. I'm not buying 13 of them.
Your communities. I know you're going to continue to fight. I know how many doors you
Oh, yeah, 13,000.
you missed.
I wouldn't make that deal with just anybody.
I know it was a tough sacrifice, and I just want to thank
one of
every single candidate of that. No candidate.
You've got a great deal there.
Volunteers, staff, thank you to all those candidates and their incredible staff.
What?
Choosing to commit your life to politics obviously comes with some sacrifice, but we choose this life because of the chance to change the country you love for the better. When they lose sometimes.
There's console commands for this? I didn't even know. I'm not gonna do it anyway, so fuck it. I don't need it.
To tell us that we can never dream of a better Canada, a fairer Canada, a more compassionate Canada. I have met you Democrats from coast.
Thank you for your patronage.
Never back down, even when
Bye.
That there's no room
for character.
Start with
for everyone, because we believe that there is enough in Canada for all of us to live the life that we deserve.
What? What can I interest you in?
Making eye contact with certain people.
Come back and see me again. Goodbye.
Yep.
Don't look at me again.
Yo, there we go. I'm gonna take Tomb Raider off because I'm not gonna play Tomb Raider no more. I'll find another game for next Monday.
Incredible movement. I worked really hard to be worthy of this trust. To live up to the
Let me actually delete Tomb Raider.
Hold on a second,
Is he gonna give me some gigabytes back for this game? This. What I have now? 151 gigabytes? What should I delete?
Anytime. Is there a problem?
Oh, MVP. Oh, MVP is stepping down.
The Westfield Inn is across
What?
the hills inside the north walls. Two Sisters Lodge.
I did not see that coming.
What?
The MVP is stepping down. He's been running for 8 years. He's actually stepping down tonight. I did not see that coming. What a twist.
Good thing or bad thing for y'all?
What are you looking for?
Sorry.
The Westfield Inn is across from the guilds inside the north.
He was a really good candidate for MVP. I'm surprised he's backing down this year.
Near the gate.
You
too.
Was the original person I was going to vote for.
Oh, me children will thank you. Thank you, kind sir.
Aww.
Blessings of Arcade upon you.
Nice job. Yay! Oh, but I'm so sorry.
Head on. I'm Elsie Godhater. Yes, I hate the gods, all gods. They can all bite my garters. And if you don't like it, you can bite my garters too. He's a raving lunatic.
He was in third place, if you're wondering.
Strange. Like what? Oh, like shouting obscenities at you? Or wearing only fur for an entire year? Or waiting outside your house every morning? Not that you'll get anyone else in town to admit it. Oh, he's harmless. We're used to him.
Yo.
Harmless.
Little by little, you know, they're bringing the
One day he'll snap. Then watch out.
Call of Duties, right? To Game Pass.
Yeah, what about it?
The first one that's coming so far is Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2 has already been on the Game
Farewell.
No, it's shown right now that it's getting put on there again.
To the Westfield Inn.
The cross-gen bundle is getting coming to Game Pass.
Or a bed, speak to me. I have a lovely room on the corner.
It's coming May 1st.
Excellent. I'm sure you'll be.
Which I don't know why they're doing that, because nobody's gonna fucking play that game.
Door on the right at the end of the hall.
But there are some people that still do, because, and I have heard from multiple streamers on TikTok and everywhere else that people are leaving BO6, streamers alike, and going back to MW3 or going back to MW2 or going back to MW.
That shit is dog shit.
You get any closer, and I'll turn your bow.
It's just not the fucking same. Oh my god! I remember how they said they was gonna do like a Witcher crossover with the the girl.
It's you. Hi.
I've heard that someone has it out.
You hear me, Tone?
Sextius. Don't want to hurt.
I didn't hear you.
Is this a Witcher? I don't know if this is a Witcher. What the fuck is this? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck this game is. It looks. Oh, what the fuck is this? Watching Fallen Feathers. What the fuck is that? Is this a new game or is this an old game?
This water is really strategically placed for me, so it's very, very lucky that I have. I might need a couple more glasses, so just if anyone can help me out on that, that'd be great. Y'all want your talent, your heart, fight every day. We treat each other with respect and dignity and kindness. Love you.
I didn't level up, right? Because it didn't look like I did.
Hail!
What is it now?
What's new with you?
I saw some mud crabs by the water recently. I've steered clear of them. See you.
Farewell.
What the fuck this is? I don't know. This is a new game. Let me see.
Shit, the first time I did NDP and they're stepping down. Wow.
Fuck. Excuse me.
Why smart voting's important, you know what I mean? This is why our smart voting is important in strategic voting. Because things like this could be completely left field.
You gotta get somebody else.
But that means in 4 years, we'll get more seats than 7.
Oh my god, I gotta take a piss.
Obviously, I'm disappointed that we could not win more seats, but I'm not disappointed in our movement. I'm hopeful for our party.
Okay, it is a game coming out. What the fuck? What the fuck is this game?
And optimism over despair, and unity over hate. New Democrats literally built this country.
So far, Bruce is still leading against PP.
Ooh, oh my fucking god.
Canada, and we aren't going anywhere. Thank you so much. Love you all. You're amazing. Merci infiniment. Appreciate it so much. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you. You're amazing. Love you all. Every one of you. You're amazing. Thank you.
Ooh, oh my god, excuse me. Oh, this game looks retarded.
Well, now they have to come up with a new leader. Well, they have 4 years to put somebody in his place, but yeah.
So what, in 4 years he's stepping down?
No, he's stepping down, but they have 4 years to put somebody in and to, you know, promote the MDP. So NDP has, like, say, I would say by the end of April, the end of May, to let anybody to put their balance in that's in the MDP, okay? And then the NDP will vote with inside the house, like how they did with Carney, you know what I mean? And then he did get promoted, and then they will go and try to promote NDP's views as a different candidate. We're going to have a different candidate for NDP sometime in 4 years.
Okay.
Because he's stepping down. So by, I would say, probably by May or June, as soon as they find somebody for his position, then he'll officially step down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could be about 6 months from now before he officially, you know, is out of house. That type of thing. That's what
just to have somebody temporary take over until they can actually put somebody in his place permanent.
That's right. Until they put somebody.
Okay, got you.
They'll vote inside the house. You know what I mean? They'll vote inside the house. He'll still represent with the name until they put somebody in his place.
Gotcha. Okay. But I'll be right back. I'm gonna get changed and I gotta use the bathroom.
So right now I'm just seeing if PP keeps his job or not.
We didn't think in our earlier conversations tonight that despite an outcome possible opening up this German scene tonight would announce his death. Did you have any other choice given the
Despite all the emotion, they had enough time to digest it, and I think that he was smart to pull that thing off. Just let him go through that very emotional state while the people 100% there, physically in front of him. So very moving, like with his wife, carrying his little daughter on his shoulders as he went out, and just said, "What's going to take you?" An interim.
You know when you loot them and they're just laying naked on the floor.
Yeah.
The caucus involved in that, and they'll
taking their armor, Mosh.
To be truthful, the NDP did a very good job, even though he's stepping down and he had a record loss. He still did it with dignity, and that's something that you know what I mean. Give him so much respect.
But isn't the arm really heavy? It's just to weigh you down.
It's not easy to resign that. You know what I mean, and have a destination loss after 8 years of being running for them.
Hi.
And obviously, this party has to go through a period of soul searching right now. Tom was mentioning earlier.
Bye.
Are we still minority though? That's the question.
That's been put forward.
I guess we'll find out, right?
That's what I'm trying to find out, because right now it does look like we got the minority, but it's not fully official yet, which is how much of the House of the Senate does the Liberals have, you know what I mean? Liberals already won, Carney wins, now just how many seats are per houses. and how much of it is liberal, how much of it is conservative, how much of it is, you know, Beck, French, how much is it NVP, that type of thing. That, and we have to wait to see if PP loses his job, because the votes are still coming in for that. The writing for that. I don't care if I'm going to be up late tonight. I just want to know so that I'm not, when I go into work, you know what I mean, lost.
Got him.
For them and fighting back off Trump, they will take that vote back. And now the Democrats are going to have to take a lot of time.
Headshot.
And you know, one thing about
I don't know.
The decision of Mr. Singh tonight to resign that happy warrior is that he won't have to.
What are you flicking?
He won't face that the party will be
Anna.
taken with him. And that process has to
What are you flicking?
Oh no! Huh? I was just reading MDP has lost their status because they didn't make the 12 requirement seats. You have to have at least 12 seats. So they lost their party status.
This kind of, you know, two-party race that we've seen in this to not be the future, and that Canadians will return to Democrats, but we have a lot of rebuilding to do before that happens.
Scott, were you surprised that Jagmeet Singh made the announcement that he did tonight?
It was a catastrophic, devastating campaign end result. There was no option available to him, and there was no dignified option other than to take it. And I thought he performed admirably.
I'm so sorry, Scott. We got to interrupt you because Pierre Poilievre is
Pierre speaking.
To the podium to deliver his remarks. I believe any moment. I think he's walking into
okay.
There as we speak. We don't have a final result, I should say, for his riding, where he still trails.
Oh, Bruce extended his lead.
Hello, who's there?
Okay, we're gonna find out in moments. Come on, Bruce. You're in the lead. Oh, hell of a lot. Come on. Look! Beautiful numbers. 18.284 is his
I find the boss.
writing over people. That is humongous. If he loses his writing, it's because of the convoy.
Stand on this stage in front of our proud country. Self up to serve the future. After millions of people have shown up and marked their X, spoken their voice, and exercised their democratic rights. We could not be more proud. We could not be more grateful for the opportunity Canadians have given us. Speaking now of Anna, I want to take a moment to thank her incredible. She's been by my side. She's my rock. I love and cherish you and our little ones. Know that we could not have done any of this without you. Thank you so much. Now the Canadians. The promise that was made to me and to all of you.
Look at how close that was.
You could achieve anything, and through hard work, you could get a great life. You have a nice, affordable home on a safe street. My purpose in politics is and will continue to be to restore that promise.
It's too quiet.
He's choking.
To the volunteers who knocked on the doors, made phone calls, put up up lawn signs, rallied at our events, donated their hard-earned money to our cause. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To the millions of people who voted for the Conservative Party and put their hopes and dreams in our vision, thank you. It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward.
It would be a great honor to continue to fight for you because I have the honor of being a voice and fighting for conservative values that you voted for. And especially it will be an honor to continue to work towards the promise of Canada, that anyone here who works hard can have a beautiful life in a beautiful home in a safe community. That is our vision, and we will bring it home. Thank you.
Conservatives. Great tonight. We're bringing well over 20 seats. We got the highest share of vote. Our party has received since 1988. We denied the NDP and Liberals enough seats to form a coalition government, meaning
Still with the slogans. Get rid of the slogans.
we are cognizant of that. That we didn't get to the finish line yet. We know change is needed. It's hard to come by. It takes time. It takes, and that's why we have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future of the country.
Frame rate was dropping.
For a razor-thin minority government, a virtual tie in the vote count. So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on leading this minority government. We'll have plenty of opportunity to debate and disagree, but tonight we come together as Canadians. We will do our job. Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account. But first,
Let's get this over with.
Participating in the democratic process. And as I said, while we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts these tariffs behind us while protecting our sovereignty and the Canadian people. Conservative staff and others who reshaped the entire political landscape in this country. Conservatives did major breakthroughs tonight. We brought in record support from blue-collar and unionized workers, youth, new Canadians. We gave voices to countless people across this country who've been left out and left behind for far too long. We won the big debates of our time.
Main menu real quick, guys.
That
should lag in a little bit. Yep. Has trash room closed.
For the best arguments to improve the lives of our people right across this country. But we will not stop there. Every single day, our Conservative caucus and I will be holding the government to account on behalf of the millions of Canadians who believed in the message of change. En tant que parti, on a grandement...
As a party, we have expanded our support, and every day the Conservative caucus and myself will be working.
Let's go back in. Let's hope it doesn't crash again, guys. Game is crashed. What? Did this update just crash my game? Oh, it better not have. Maybe I need to go to that thing. Did my save just get corrupted because of the update? Shit. That means I gotta start over again. I didn't. There are certain games that do this, and then there are certain games that don't.
Should you lose, you weren't that far in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see.
Well, he didn't say that he's stepping down, so we'll see. Through his speech, that was so fucking long. What about, okay, the thing is I get it, but you forgot about the minority of the middle class. I can't afford a house. You're looking towards our kids, but what about mine? You promised us a house too. Duh.
As in his riding at Carlton, I think last time we had the board up.
Yeah, he didn't quit.
Right here, I think. Candidate is leading with about.
But if he doesn't win his seat, he has to get approve it.
His home riding. So
22.4.5. Yay! That's 2,445 more votes.
In advance of the conclusion to this riding, to deliver that speech, which I think can be described as defiant. Like people want to change, and to be fair,
And I want to hear Mark.
The Liberals were, the Conservatives were able to increase their share of the vote, very much increase the number of seats, but it did not, as he pointed out, get them over the finish line. And there was, quite an effort by Mr. Polyev to say that that's, not the end of their story, basically, to lay out what will be probably the beginning of the argument for him to stay. I figure that's a much more difficult argument to make if, in fact, he loses his seat, but that is an if. At this point, I wanted to swing over to Corey tonight to get your view on what we just heard from Mr. Polyev. Definitely no intention to go anywhere. If he loses his, how much of it more?
What a weird night, because I think, as you correctly pointed out, there's a lot of good news in these results for the Conservatives in terms of their share of the vote, and the seat count. Is impressive. Like, he's increased their seat count. However, losing one seat, and I don't think it's going to be that close. Looking at those results and looking at the ridings around it, puts him in a very vulnerable position, because that decision in the past has largely been made up by caucus. I think my view is that he maintains a very high level of support from that caucus, and I think if he wants to stay on, he'll probably have an opportunity to do so. But it's more challenging to lead a caucus and lead your party outside of Parliament. So I think if he does want to stay on, one of the first orders of business will be to find somebody to step down.
I was born 87 years ago.
Okay, so my save file got corrupted.
For 65
because
years,
of the update.
I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor.
I think with the results tonight, he's got a very strong position to stay on if he chooses to do so. What a weird evening.
And speaking of weird, our decision desk has just handed us some numbers, which I find fascinating. I mean, all of us have just been, quite
Liberals from start to now.
If there's any that every vote counts, every vote matters. There are a couple of scenarios here. For the Conservatives to have won this election, not minority or majority, we're win. More votes in 10 ridings. Not a lot of votes when you consider the millions of voters who are eligible across this country. For the Liberals to go
again, that sucks.
A minority government to a majority.
It is what it is. I'm not too worried about it.
Writing. So this is an extremely close. It's thin. Amanda, I want to get to you because you.
He certainly has earned, in my view, the right to stay as leader for the reasons I've already articulated that he did tonight. Look, he's got to show some humility for sure. Any leader who loses in any circumstance has to do that. Perhaps an approach more focused on making friends.
CBC is the only one that hasn't called it yet.
By the way, there were, for some peculiar reason, a lot of writings held back, dozens of them, for the very last minute, where dozens and dozens of candidates were basically pushed out of the way for appointees. There will be some grassroots offenses to be mended there. But I think if you've been to one of your peers' events, you can see that he has a uniquely strong connection. You all can dismiss it as the base. These are many people have never been before. They're more than traditional conservative party activists. Right? He's brought in, right from his leadership on, a new cohort of people, getting them into the democratic process, which I think is commendable. And there are a lot of people, and I congratulate Mr. Carney. I think he's a phenomenally talented man. And as a conservative, I wish him nothing but the best in standing up for this country against the threats and intimidation of Donald Trump. I was very happy to hear Pierre say that tonight, that while his constitutional job is to hold the government to account, he will stand united with the government in defending Canada's interests. That's critical. It's important to acknowledge that there's a reason why all those people were showing up in record numbers at those events. There's reasons he's raised unprecedented levels of funding in a political campaign. There is a
Kinsman, I haven't seen another Dunman here and I don't know how long. Where are you from, huh? Vardenfell? You got a wife back home? Tell you what, I'm getting out of here in a couple of weeks. When I get back to Morrowind, I'll look her up. She must be so lonely. Don't you worry, eh? I'll take care of her long after you're dead. Oh, that's right. You're going to die in here. Hey, you hear that? The guards are coming. For you.
Yeah, if Carney learns from what conservatives wants to do, he's going to win again for next 4 years. If he identifies what the conservatives wanted.
The messenger only said they were attacked.
No, they're dead. I know it.
What's this prisoner doing here? This cell is supposed to be off limits.
Usual mix-up with the watch.
Never mind. Get that gate open. Stand back, prisoner. We won't hesitate to kill you if you get in our way.
No sign of pursuit, sir. Stay put, prisoner.
Good. Let's go. We're not out of this yet.
You. I've seen
I'm
you.
sorry about this part
Let
of
me see
the
your
politicians
face.
section
You
of
are
it.
the one from my dreams.
It's talking about your
Then
government.
the
I
stars
apologize
were right.
in advance.
This is the day.
If you're catching
God's
pieces, I
given me
apologize.
strength.
2-3.
Assassins attacked my sons.
I'm just waiting
and
for
I
Carney
am
to
next.
step up.
My blades are leading me out of the city along a secret
And
escape.
then to see
By
if
chance,
Bruce,
the
the
entrance to
liberal,
that
beats
escape
out
leads through your cell.
Polyev for his seat.
So that should no longer be a distraction for the Conservative Party. And I think it's an opportunity to acknowledge.
Perhaps the gods have placed you here so that we may meet. As for what you have done, it does not matter. That is not what you will be remembered for. I am your emperor, Uriel Septim. By the grace of the gods, I serve Tamriel as her ruler. You are a citizen of Tamriel, and you too shall serve her in your own way. You will find your own path. Take care. There will be blood and death before the end.
Please, sire, we must keep moving. Better not close this one. There's no way to open it from the other side.
This doesn't concern you,
Looks like this is your lucky day. Just stay out of our way.
I think there's big divisions within caucus about the direction that the party wants to go. I hear you and I agree with you on the base, if you want to call it, of the party, and all the new people he brought in leadership. I think he speaks to that anger. I think
Stand aside, prisoner.
Given voice to those people's anxiety. I think he has fueled and capitalize on that. The fundraising dollars. I mean, that's the way our system is built. But he has crafted a message that has allowed more people to be angry and donate more money and get more social media. I think the tone we will very soon know in the House is: do you want to be the statesman-like person that we saw during the debate, or do you want to be this angry person that we saw?
I do think some of it, to be fair to Mr. Polyev, I do think that some of the campaign did pivot towards trying to be helpful, to take the that was real, that he tapped into so many months, and turn it into, I have solutions, there's hope.
But that message has been like that, even in the beginning, even Canada is broken moments, because it was Canada is broken and I will bring hope.
Yeah, okay, Andrew.
I thought it was a very good speech, first of all. Struck the right note, reassuringly normal. I absolutely agree with Jason that one of his achievements is to have been to destroy the People's Party, but there was a cost to that. And when he's looking at what might have been tonight, where he might have been the Prime Minister, that long period when he was talking about the World Economic Forum and Bitcoin and firing the Bank of Canada governor, it printed itself into people's brains. It wasn't a given that when Donald Trump reared his ugly head, it wasn't a given that would have to be the cost of the Conservative Party. Supposing a leader who had a reputation of being...
Load your game back.
Yeah. It turned to him in that presence.
That's good.
It didn't. It's part of his legacy as well. So yes, he has expanded the party's base in many ways, but he scared a lot of people along the road. And he now has an opportunity, now that the party, let's assume, not to words, but
Let's assume the People's Party is no longer a threat to the Conservatives. There's an opportunity now to pivot towards the center, to pivot towards the mainstream, and to continue the tone we set tonight.
Yeah, that's just consent to rid yourself of all of that and not have to worry about saying things to the national time.
Oh, well, the first thing I'll note is that there was not a hint that he thinks the election result isn't what it is. I think that matters.
It is. It's not
For
skipping.
someone as this result is legitimate.
Yes, that's
so. Second, I think it's too easy to underestimate what it means not to have a seat from the oblivion.
We have not called it yet. Okay, just to be
going.
It's not skipping, so that's a good sign.
3 times 10 new polls have been counted. That margin of 6 points behind has been maintained. But without a seat, this is someone who needs to be in the House of Commons. He's never going to want to delegate, so he needs to be there.
But that's where he's best. That's where he's best.
But when Parliament convenes, the game is going to be different. Why? Because we will be in that battle. Against the
That the best you can do?
That
the best you can do? What's the matter? Getting tired?
You're a traitor.
What's the matter? Getting tired? Let's get this over with.
Their politicians are united. You cannot collaborate with friendly fighters. The government of Canada.
Maple Mega Horner Hornets? Is that what we're calling them? Wow, that's gonna be a tongue twist. And let's find
He is. You just saw the board the results where they are right now. Again, still fairly low. It's 4 points back now. So that is why we have to be careful here, and we also don't know how the advanced vote went, and of course the long ballot issue.
You should be done by now. Why haven't you called it? Everybody else has. Besides Mark Kearney to recurge. Oh, we've got movement.
Oh, just quickly, because I got Mr. Carney's wife's wife.
And I hope we hear from Mr. Carney a real voice, a message of unity. It's not just about Mr. Carney's campaign, but there's a news in our economy, in our society. We need to take those very seriously.
Jason Kenny, thank you for coming in to Melbourne and giving us all your time. Really great to have you here. Okay, let's listen in live now to the Prime Minister's wife.
Okay, we're listening to the Prime Minister's wife.
Hello, Canada. Thank you for your vote. Thank you for supporting your Liberal candidates. And thank you for choosing my husband's vision of a positive, unified, and above all, a strong country. Mark and I have had the enormous privilege of meeting so many people across this great country. Everywhere we've visited, we've been energized by the passion, the commitment, and the kindness and belief that we have encountered. Not to mention the beauty and diversity of this amazing country. As we traced a path from winter into spring, through all this, I've watched my husband listen and learn. I've watched him inspire confidence and take on new skills. But most of all, I've seen him remain true to what he's always been. Consistent, compassionate, loyal, and driven by an exceptionally strong set of values. Thoughtful, respectful, and honest. And I think and hope that you now have come to appreciate that alongside his capacity for dealing with the most serious of matters, he has a great mind for trivia, a wicked sense of humor, and a smile. He's been that way since our very first date back when we were young grad students. We went to that dinner and he said to me, stopped the conversation, and he said to me, I want you to know I'm committed to move back to Canada to work in the public service. So here we Could not be more. And as a Canadian, I'm so thankful that the man I met more than 30 years ago has held tight to that strong commitment to service. I'm lucky to have him. We're lucky to have him now more than ever. Without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce my husband, the Prime Minister who will make Canada strong. Good evening, everyone.
Oh, bonsoir.
What an evening.
I have a question. Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada? Ready? Who's ready to build Canada strong? Okay, we got that settled. That's good. Avant de commencer, je voulais féliciter.
Before I begin, I would like to congratulate the other party leaders on their campaign and all the work that they did. I want to thank them for their service to Canada, now and in future.
I thank the leaders of the other parties. I want to salute the contribution of Jagmeet Singh. I know some of ours. Leading on progressive values. With May, you will be returned.
Have pity on an old war veteran.
And I want to congratulate Pierre Poilievre on a hard-fought, fair, good campaign, his commitment to the country that we both love. Y'all have many, many more contributions to our land. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Diana, for your work on this campaign. Thank you, Diana, for the commitment and compassion you bring to everything that you do. Tonight simply would not have been possible without you, and without the support of our 4 children who inspire me to service every single. Also, put their name on the ballot from all parties. Thank you for standing up to serve our country at this critical time. Those who were elected, particularly those liberals who were elected, I am looking forward to working to deliver for Canadians. This is Bruce. Yes, Lieutenant, I'm looking forward to working with you.
Hello, I'm Rashida. If it's broken, I can fix it.
Of course, I want to thank the thousands of volunteers who are here tonight.
I offer the finest goods and lowest prices in all Cyrodiil.
So that we would talk to Canadians.
An excellent bargain.
Who spoke to Canadians, who spoke to their neighbors, who made the calls. The people who worked so hard so that we could have Canada strong.
I chose to enter politics because I felt we needed big changes in this country. But big changes guided by strong Canadian values.
Thank you for your patronage.
At the dinner table from my parents, Bob
Bye.
and Dave, and from my siblings. appreciate this more in retrospect from my siblings. My siblings, Brenda, Sean, and Brian. Values that I learned on the ice from my coaches. Values that have been reinforced as I've met with Canadians across this great country. And those include 3 values that I want to highlight this evening. Humility, Canada after all. Ambition, it's Canada after all. And unity, it's Canada. These are good values. These are Canadian values. Values that I will do my best. I'm just getting worked up here. These are values that I will do my to uphold every day as your Prime Minister. You betcha. Okay, well, you have to judge after this next section because I am going to begin.
Good to see you.
I'm going to begin with the value of humility. And by admitting that I have much to be humble about. That's true. Over my long... That's not an applause line, it's just a statement of fact. Over my long career, I have made many mistakes. And I will make more. But I commit to admitting them openly, to correcting them quickly, and always learning from them. You know, humility towards the importance of governing
We're
as
here
a
to help.
team in cabinet and in caucus, and working constructively with all parties across Parliament. Of working in partnership with the provinces and the territories, and with Indigenous people. Yeah. And at this time, it underscores the value of bringing together labor, business, civil society to advance the nation-building investments we need to transform our economy. Humility is also about recognizing that one of the responsibilities of government is to prepare for the worst, not hope for the best. As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen.
Yay!
The reality that our world has fundamentally changed.
Uh-huh.
There's also, for me, as I stand before you this evening, humility in recognizing that, well, many have chosen to place their trust in me, trust in the Liberal Party. Millions of our fellow citizens preferred a different outcome. And my message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you vote, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home. During this short campaign, I went to Saskatchewan and Alberta a couple of times, even though the Liberals, it's tough out there. I grew up there. But I went because I intend to govern for all Canadians. And au cours de cette campagne, toujours Québécois et Québécoises.
Throughout this campaign, Quebecers opened their doors to me and gave me their confidence. And I have been deeply touched by that. And I want to thank you. The French language, Quebec culture, are at the very center of Canadian identity. They define this country, the country that I love so much. And I will defend them tirelessly. With my team of Quebec members of Parliament that you have just sent to Ottawa, we will ensure that Quebec will continue to prosper within a strong Canada. And whether you're a worker in Fort Mac or an accountant from Toronto or a worker from Quebec, my government will...
That's what's saying for me. He's government for all Canadians, even if you're French.
Most consequential election. Let's put an end to the division and anger of the past. We are all Canadian, and my government will work for and with everyone. I began with humility. The Canadians are ambitious. And now, more than ever, it is a time for ambition. It is a time to control.
You guys want me to mute? Just let me know, okay, guys?
Positive force of united Canada.
Because I had to switch you to my computer. My phone needs to be charged.
Build baby Bill.
You guys still there?
Yep. I'm about to go to bed here shortly.
Me too. Once this was done, I was gonna go, but if you was just realized that because I switched over to my computer, that it's picking up. That's why I was just saying. You know what I mean? If you didn't want to listen to the rest of, you know, this, I'd understand and I'd mute for you.
It's a free, sovereign, and ambitious to lead the path of democracy and freedom. And because we are Canadian, to do so with compassion and generosity. We are once again one of those many moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over.
Yeah, I fixed it. That'll be fine.
Global trade.
Thank you all so much for coming in here.
That has relied on since the Second World War.
I really appreciate everyone coming in. But that's it for me. So I watched a little bit of the Canadian politics and all that other stuff.
Yes, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you guys so much.
But I gotta get some sleep. I gotta go and get my happy little butt up for work tomorrow. So you all have a good one.